For those of you who have just joined us after closed session, welcome to this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. I'm Laura Simon, Board President, and I'd like to introduce my fellow trustees, Lisa Pelosi, Sean Mora, Jeannie Kerr, and Jean Marie Wolf, and student representative to the board, Andy Martinez. I would also like to introduce our district staff, Superintendent Dr. Jody McClay, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Christopher Heller, Chief Business Official Dr. Kay Vang, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent and Governing Board, Ms. Erica Madrigal, Director of Technology, Mr. Derek Machado, and IT Network Administrator, Mr. Jared Mullicane. Additional staff members are joining us in the audience. Director of Educational Services, Mrs. Araceli Romo Flores, Director, Community Liaison and Community Engagement, Ms. Selene Robledo, St. Helena High School Principal, Mr. Benjamin Cinto, and St. Helena Elementary School Interim Principal, Ms. Kathy O'Connor. We are delighted that you're viewing in person on television channel 27 or on our YouTube channel. A copy of this board meeting video will also be available on our website at www.sthelenaunified.org. In connection with items 4A and 4B, the board received information and provided staff with direction. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 6A, public comment on open session items. Is there anyone present who wishes to publicly comment on items not on the meeting agenda? Okay. 7A, presentation by the student representative of the board. I'd like to call on Mr. Martinez.
Thank you. All right, so here's the student school board representative report. So for the high school homecoming week, we heard a lot of positive feedback from the community as well as students about the homecoming parade. We heard it had good energy and a really good flow to the parade. As well as the homecoming football game, it was full of excitement, and we came out with the win over Middletown, 41-34. Student Congress, we had our first meeting this Tuesday during advisory. One representative was chosen from each advisory class to attend the quarterly meetings, and the purpose is to engage in conversations about school culture and climate and to take action to address growth areas as identified in the California Healthy Kids Survey. And our current focus is student interpersonal relationships, and the FFA, or Ag Leadership, is going to a leadership sectional night at Winters High School the 22nd of October. 25 Ag Leadership students will attend the North Coast Region Leadership Night, and this conference will be a night where members can build connections with other FFA members, as well as they will do some workshops, and it will just help strengthen the FFA and leadership programs. As for the RLS, RLS Leadership NASB is planning to review the Healthy Kids Survey. Mr. Ryan will be meeting with leadership to define some of the areas of growth and celebrate successes and work together to address student needs going forward. On the 2nd of October, guest speaker Mr. Brown spoke to the entire school about making positive decisions and the message that we can all do hard things. And he focused work with specific groups of the students, including leadership. The elementary school 5th graders went on their Age of Sail field trip on the 7th of October. 5th graders got to ride the sailboats in San Francisco and learn all about sailboats. Dia de los Muertos altars, the 4th graders are being taught about the meaning of Dia de los Muertos and also creating altars to build in front of the cafeteria. Foods like Mexican breads and conchas and hot chocolate we provided as fun snacks to all students and parents. The 3rd grade field trip, the 3rd graders took a field trip to the public library, and students were able to get their library cards and they learned how the library system works and how they can pick out their books through Alexa levels. And as well, the 5th graders student council have this thing, Socktober, really cool name. It's collecting socks for the unhoused community in Napa County, and student councils also wants to do outreach to local nursing homes. And for the primary school, September, their character trait was self-control, and for this month, it is growth mindset. The TK through 2nd will perform dances and songs at the Fiesta de Octubre on the 16th of October at the elementary school. There will also be a folklorical performance by a professional dance group, and first graders are focusing on classifying shapes in organization. In Ms. White's class, students worked independently on the worksheets, and I interviewed this little first grader, Edayi Garcia, and he says he loves going to drumming classes before school, as well as choir classes after Mr. Binder. And he asked me to make sure everyone knows that he has 4 dogs, 3 cats, and 1 bird. Ladies.
Nice.
Thank you.
Great. Any questions?
I have one important question. Who won the float contest? That's always something.
The juniors.
Oh, okay.
Juniors won. Yeah, they had Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, I
Yeah,
saw
it was
it.
really
I was
nice.
just,
Yeah.
okay.
The boat's out in front of the pack.
Yes, I did see it at the parade, so I was just kind of curious what the outcome was.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that was always a little bit fixed. I guess not. I thought the seniors tended to win every
Yeah.
now and then.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. It's a great report. Lots of great things going on at each campus. Thank you. 7B, Peter and the Starcatcher Community Invitation. Miss Patty Coyle. Hello.
All right. Perfect segue with the pirate ship. My own senior in high school came home with photos of float building on the Thursday night, and Mr. Cinto quickly got an email from me and Miss Brazil about the pirate ship. I'm like, I must have it. If anyone knows me, I don't really take no for an answer. So I was here for 4 hours taking it apart and putting it back together on Friday with the junior class who originally designed it and built it. So they have a special nod in the program thanking them, as well as Mr. Dewar. It was so nice of them. Okay, so many of you don't need to be introduced to myself. I'm Patty Coyle, 18th year with the district, hard to believe, drama teacher at RLS and at St. Helena High School. And our season actually kicked off on September 21st. I know that Jean Marie was there, at the cemetery walk at the Spirits of St. Helena. And that's our decade-long collaboration with the St. Helena Historical Society. And this year it was awesome. There's some of the stars of the cemetery walk in the room. Raise your hand if you're in the cemetery walk. Awesome. And then our season of main stage shows starts a week from tonight with our fall play. So I invited some of the students who are involved in the main stage season to come speak with you tonight about the show. So come on up.
Hi, my name is Beatrix Wagner. I'm a sophomore at St. Helena High School. I've been with Ms. Coyle, I think, since 6th grade, and I've always wanted to be in the productions, and now I get to be in them. Okay. St. Helena Drama and the Napa Valley College Theater course at St. Helena High School is proud to present Peter and the Starcatcher, the Tony Award-winning play by Rick Elias, based on the novel by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson. This imaginative, family-friendly prequel explores the untold story of how, nameless orphan boy becomes the legendary Peter Pan. Peter and the Starcatcher is an entertaining blend of comedy and adventure that follows the ordeals of the Lost Boys and their best mate Molly as they battle pirates, meet mermaids, and encounter star stuff on their secret mission. The St. Helena Drama Department, directed by Patty Coyle, is fresh off their sold-out run of West Side Story. They can't wait for audiences to experience this smash hit from Broadway right here in St. Helena. NBC Theater / the CTE Drama Pathway students in the cast and crew with the Drama 1 students will be outfitting in the lobby during show days. Thank you.
Cool, thank you, Beatrix. there's a few show photos here. October 16th, 17th, and 18th at 7, and the 19th at 2. Here's some beautiful photos of our dress rehearsals by Rob McDonough. It's a very whimsical prequel to Peter Pan. I hope you can be there. And Beatrix is double cast as one of the Smees. You'll see here in the bottom right-hand corner, giving Black Stash a manicure.
I'm the one with the red beanie on,
Yeah.
holding a knife in my mouth. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Beatrix. All right. Next up, Veronica.
Hi, my name is Veronica Uribe. I started drama as a freshman in the first part of the pathway, and I'm here to talk about the spring musical. So we are doing Little Shop of Horrors. It is a horror comedy rock musical, which first premiered off-Broadway in 1982, and it's still running today. It was inspired by 1960 film of the same name, the musical, with a score by Alan Menke and lyrics, and a book by Howard Ashman is written by the same team who wrote The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. The story follows a hapless florist shop worker who works on Skid Row, who raises a highly unusual plant that ends up changing his fate for the better. But suddenly Seymour gets a little more than what he bargained for. And then the musical will be performed from March 13th to the 22nd of 2026. Thank you.
And that's all for the drama department. Hope to see you at the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I know we're really looking forward to both of those performances. Thank you, Ms. Coyle, for all that you do with our amazing drama department. Thank you.
Help me take that pirate ship apart.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, make sure to call them when it needs to get taken. Let me know, and I will get those, help get them out. Perfect. Okay, thank you.
And I want to give kudos to the group at the cemetery because it was one of those days that it was like 90 degrees and the kids are out there in their long Victorian, pre-Victorian gowns and the boys all buttoned up and they had to be. It was hot and they were great. So it was a lot of fun to see.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, 7C, introduction of Josh Schultz, Napa County Superintendent of Schools. Dr. McClay.
So I just wanted to bring forth our newly appointed Napa County Office of Education Superintendent, Mr. Josh Schultz, and I'm sure he will tell you, so I don't want to spoil the surprise, but he has a really awesome connection to St. Helena.
Good evening, trustees, President Simon, Dr. McClay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. So as was alluded to, I'm starting, I think, my 33rd year in public education, and I started right here at St. Helena High School in 1993. I taught for 7 years here at the high school, I think 6 of them right out the window here in room 100. I taught government and economics and U.S. history, so I think I had every senior for 7 years that came from the school. My colleagues used to call me the gatekeeper because oftentimes it was the only credit that students needed in their senior year to graduate. And while I don't think I was the strictest teacher by any stretch of the imagination, I did have some basic standards about engaging and showing up and doing some work. And so there were occasionally some students who didn't graduate, sometimes with great controversy. On the other hand, I was a young teacher with old students and was not probably the greatest disciplinarian. And oftentimes when I run into former students, all they want to tell me about is what rascals they were in my class. And, County Supervisor Belia Ramos, who swore me in at my first board meeting as county superintendent, likes to tell stories about bringing French fries to class. I don't actually remember that. I'm sure it's probably true. On the other hand, when I came to the RLS back to school night recently here, a former student came up who's now a parent of a middle schooler, and she wanted to tell me about the senior prank where they stacked all the desks in front of the door of my classroom so I couldn't get in, which I definitely do remember. Anyway, when I left the high school, I worked in administration for a while at Sonoma State University, but I've been with the County Office of Education for the last 17 years, almost all of that time as CBO, last 11 years, I think, as Deputy Superintendent. And then, of course, was appointed as county superintendent about 2 months ago. really pleased to be with you in this new role. I'm honored to be county superintendent. I think it's a great opportunity to support our school districts and the students in the county. Just briefly, my view of the role of the County Office of Education in relation to St. Helena Unified School Districts is we're here to support you. We're here to help you implement your programs and achieve the best possible outcomes for your students. I'm sure many of you, or all of you, recently received our budget and LCAP approval letters, so we have some statutory roles, right? Approving the budget, and the goal of that, of course, is just to make sure that the district is staying in sound financial health so that you can implement programs in a sustainable manner. And I'm very pleased to say that, this board and this district has been doing that in an excellent way for many years. And then there's the LCAP approval, of course, which is about making sure that you're really looking at your data and in an equitable manner, making sure you're focusing on outcomes for students. And again, we just commend you on the work that you're doing in that regard. My view is that anything else we do, then much of what we do is discretionary, needs to be aligned with your priorities and offered in a way that actually supports what you're trying to achieve. And as an example of that, I instituted a practice a few years ago where the leadership of all of our programs meets with your leadership to say, here is how we believe everything we are doing is aligning with the priorities in your LCAP, and then to take feedback from your leadership on, well, if there are things that need to change, how do we do that? And for example, we have a role that's statutory in terms of differentiated assistance. If certain things pop up on the school dashboard where we're supposed to offer assistance to a district, we want to do that in a way where we actually have capacity to add value and where it actually aligns with your priorities, right? We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to say, how can we help? Where do we have the capacity to actually support you in achieving the outcomes you want to? So that's my priority as county superintendent. That's the way I think we will operate as long as I'm here working with the county office. And I'm really pleased to be able to support you and honored to be able to present to you tonight. And with that, I'll stop unless there are any questions, but thank you again.
Welcome.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Schultz? No? Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on your new role.
Yes.
Okay, 7D, presentation by the Director, Community Liaison, and Community Engagement. And we are going to, sorry, it just froze. Yep, call on Miss Delaney gosh, I cannot speak tonight. Robeldo.
Hello. It's a hard last name to pronounce.
Pronounce it for me again.
Robledo.
Okay, I'm never.
It's okay.
It's hard being Italian and not being able to roll your R's. It's been a lifelong.
It's okay. Thank you.
Really bothered me.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Chris, Kay, Andy, Jody, Erica. Thank you all for the opportunity to present tonight around our parent engagement work. I want to highlight some of the events that happened last school year. Last year did my presentation in December, so I wanted to highlight some of last year's work and then also ongoing programs that we have this school year and our goals for 25-26 school year. Our focus continues to be strengthening families, connections, and supporting students' well-being to ensure, it's right here. Yeah, okay, sorry. And then, and ensuring that every parent feels informed, included, empowered, and engaged in their child's education. So last year when I started with a parent survey, and I think this is something that we will continue for the following years because we get a lot of information and we get to hear what our parents want and need from us as the district. So our annual parent survey helps guide our priorities. This school year, 2 topics were requested. Mental health and wellness, 60% of our parents are interested in that. And then social media and technology safety, 59% were interested in those topics. While 85% of our families feel connected to our district, only 17% participated. So that shows that there are some challenges that our parents are facing when engaging in our workshops and engaging in our district. The most common challenges that came up this survey was language, work schedule, and childcare. We have addressed some of these, or actually we've addressed all of them. We always try to prioritize translation in all of our workshops for parents. We have provided childcare, which is something that has helped a lot of families that have little ones. And we're also doing a lot of our events later in the afternoon. We noticed that 5:30 and on works for most families. There's a mistake on the up there. It's supposed to be 24, 25 on the comparison chart. Last year we had 78 responses, and this year we had 102 responses. These are some photos from last year that highlight our successful events and collaborations with our partners. These moments show a strong turnout for our families and incredible partnerships we've built. It's inspiring to see parents want to educate themselves in order to support their students. So these are some photos from last school year. Some of the parent workshops that are on our master calendar for this school year, I just had a meeting with Up Valley Family Centers, and we are going to continue our Triple P Positive Parenting seminars. Last year, we only had one workshop, and the feedback we received was that it was a lot of information just for one workshop. So we're doing a series of workshops this school year, and it's going to be a 3-part series on supporting your child if they're experiencing depression or anxiety. And March is going to be the Spanish series, and April it will be the English. Rebecca and I just launched our phone-free childhood series. We had a great turnout, and this series focuses on helping families balance technology use and mental wellness, which is a topic that was expressed a lot last year, that parents wanted this information. And with that series, we also wanted to create a parent book club, because we're basing this series around the book, The Anxious Generation. And so 2 parents volunteered to create a parent book club, and they will begin October 14th at the public library. It's their first meeting. So we were very excited about that. Other workshops based around health and safety. Teen Impact is a program that collaborates with the California Highway Patrol and Salina Police Department, and they focus on safe driving for students and parents. And I want to especially thank Mr. Fetters and the school resource officer, Marcella, for their leadership in this and bringing this workshop for parents and for the 11th and 12th graders. So that's something that's going to be happening in November. We also have our substance use education and prevention workshop happening this month on October 20th. We have partnered with Aldea to teach parents around drug and alcohol prevention and education. Some parent leadership and engagement. We have our English Learner Advisory Committee, ELAC, which we have partnered with all of the schools, and we create a combined ELAC meeting, which have been very successful. Last year, a lot of parents showed up from all 4 schools, and we had different topics at each ELAC meeting, and we also have our district DLAC, which is run by Araceli, and we're just empowering parents to be leaders. And then we also have our special needs parent support group, which was led by Rebecca, where parents that have students of special needs can come together, talk about their struggles and challenges, and then we provide resources for them. A big part of my role is communicating with the community and in sharing out many events. So we're proud to continue sharing events that celebrate culture, connection in our community, like Fiesta de Octubre, that is run by the primary and elementary school. And it's a big event. A lot of our community members go. We have the Harvest Festival that's coming up this month, which is also a very popular event in our community. Mexican Independence Day celebration was at the public library. And we share out a lot of events from Parks and Rec that they create for our community as well. Fresh produce distribution is done in the front of our vintage parking lots every month. It's the third Friday of the month, and that is done by Adventist Health and St. Helena Hospital Foundation, which is a very good resource for our parents. Yeah. Some of the support services that I am involved in is the newcomers intake assessments. A newcomer is a student who has recently arrived in the United States and is adapting to a new language, new culture, and a school system. And I'm part of the process where I meet with each student and we assess their academic progress, mental health, and basic needs. I stay in contact with all of our newcomers and their families just to make sure that they feel supported and connected with our school system. There is also, I go through McKinley-Vento and foster youth case management to ensure that those families are also getting the support and resources that they need. I also serve on the multi-tiered system of support, MTSS teams, from TK through 8th grade, where we review students' needs and coordinate referrals for counseling, support, family support, and other wraparound services. And this teamwork ensures that all students and families, that no student and family fall through the cracks. So those are very important. Working together for families. A common theme throughout this presentation, I would say, is collaboration. And none of this happens alone. It's truly a team effort. And without the amazing partners and people on this slide and those who are not pictured, I could not do this work. So I want to thank everyone who continues to support our students and families. And here are a few quick examples of how this collaboration looks like in action. A teacher came to me and stated that a student they were having some financial struggles because their father was hospitalized. So the teacher and I got together, we got some gift cards, and we were able to support them through that time. Another family was experiencing homelessness, and when they did finally get their stable housing, it was in Napa, but they were able to stay in our district, and they were very happy because they were able to qualify for district of choice. A family came to me saying they were, dealing with food insecurity. So I connected them with Up Valley Family Centers, who provided some grocery gift cards, and then connected them to our free produce every month that they distribute. And then we also provide bus passes and transportation for students that need public transportation. Going forward, I plan to continue maintaining a community connections, strengthen family outreach, and increase accessibility to resources for our families and students. And I will continue to monitor the impact of this work by listening to families, by the parent engagement survey, and just being that person that people can come to if they need something. Thank you to our district staff for the continued collaboration and dedication. I want all of us to remember why we are here. Our purpose is to support all of our students and their families, no matter our role, or whether we've been here 1 year or 20. That mission should be what motivates us and inspires us every day. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
I had a question, and I'm going to kind of be dating myself here a little bit when about the DLAC meetings. I'm thinking back to when I was on parent groups, and at the DLAC meetings, a parent group president or a representative from the parent groups would sometimes attend or at least ensure that that parent group meeting agenda or what was talked about at a parent group meeting was then brought to the DLAC meeting so that those parents who weren't able to attend their school site PTG meeting could at least know what was going on at the campuses, what those groups were talking about. Does that still happen at DLAC?
For our DLAC meetings, we do have Tanya, which is our president.
Okay.
That is very involved, and she attends the PTG meetings.
Okay,
and
great.
also, she's our president for
Okay.
DLAC. Yeah.
So there's crossover. Great.
And then our vice president as well, Saida Hernandez, attends the Give Big meetings, and she brings us information from there.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's great. It's a lot of work you've done in this last, that you really hit the ground. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Selene. Besides Parent Square, what are your other modes of communication?
So the other modes of communication would be texting. A lot of texting. My work phone has probably over 100 phone numbers in there. And I think that the best form of building relationship with our parents is that individual connection. I have parents that come into my office and just need to talk.
Yeah.
So I think that texting, email has also worked, and Parent Square has a alert system where it actually sends out blasts out in email or a text, so that actually helps too. But I think word of mouth is one of the bigger ways that we can get around our community, and the parent leaders that we work with are helping a lot with that.
Great. I know it always takes more than just traditional outlets with some communities, and I appreciate you taking all the extra time. I mean, 100 numbers in your text, that's a lot of time and effort, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would just say thank you for providing that safe environment where people feel they can come in the office and talk to you and just make them feel welcome in the transition and just a safe place for families today. Thank you.
I also want to comment, I had families come to me and appreciate that you all come to our events or that they see you in the community. And so that is also a big impact in having the board be around, our parents and in our events and stuff. So I appreciate it, and I'm getting that feedback from our parents as well. Yeah.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
Good. Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all of our students and our parents. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move on to facilities. Last month, I had asked if we could move our facilities and business operations agenda items closer to the beginning of the meetings. I know how the meetings can get late and people can trickle out, so I appreciate the change and moving these up if they seem a little odd to some people, why they are closer to the beginning than the end. So we'll move on to facilities. 8A, approval of change order number 1 for the St. Helena Primary School roof replacement and dry rot repair project. I'd like to call on Dr. Vang.
Thank you, President Simon. So the district has completed the primary school roof replacement dry rot project, and FRC was the best value contractor that was awarded with the contract. And I'm going to bring up Steve Pekovich with Greatstone and Trent Summers with Motive Studio. For this particular agenda item, we're asking the board to approve a change order number 1 for the St. Helena Primary School. And this is a change order that the board will be pleased to hear. So I'm going to hand it over to the guys. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We have some good news for once. The project went really well. We had a great architectural team, and we had a good contractor. A lot of things were planned out ahead of time, so, and we also allowed enough money in certain locations of the GMP to cover items that we had no control over. So at one point, it looked like a lot of dry rot was starting to pop up, but then we got the worst of it, and the south and west exposures mainly, and a couple windows had to be replaced. So overall, the project looks really good. They did a really good quality job, and there were no complaints. In fact, I think the school's very happy with the results. We are under budget by $552,421. So that was a big plus, and Dr. Vang was very happy about that at the end. Anything you'd like to say?
I just say thank you for your trust and moving forward with the lease-back process. I think you see the value of the collaborative contractor, especially when you have construction managers like Greystone, and FRC is a great contracting partner. So moving through that process, allowing us to adopt that, thank you for your trust in us, and we're excited to return this money back to the district to address other future facility issues.
Are there any questions?
Did you cue the confetti cannons to
Yeah.
I feel like those should be bursting.
Definitely true. Any questions?
I do have a question, and I'm not sure, I'm directing it to Kate. So with this overage, since we haven't had the underage, I guess, does that go back into our facilities then, or how does that work?
Yes.
It's set aside then for facilities?
Exactly.
Okay.
It sits in Fund 40, and next month, as a heads up, I will be back with the plan to address other facilities projects with that remaining budget.
Okay, great. And then I just have a comment, if you don't mind, trustees. So I sat on the lease-back contractor at the interviews, and I would really encourage you to take a stab at that, because it's actually very, very interesting. And I believe it was 4 contractors that we were interviewing, and definitely there was a couple that stood out, and FRC was certainly the one of them that really stood out. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes,
Four contractors?
Correct.
Yeah, great, thank you. So thank you for your time with that and for leading that as well. Thank you.
I forgot to ask if there is anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item. We just got so excited. So I want to make time for that now. Any public comment? No. Okay. Trustees, any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the good news.
We'll see you soon. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move. Oh, it is. That is right. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the contracts? No, wrong one. I got ahead of myself. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the change order? Number 1 for the St. Helena Primary School roof replacement and dry rot repair project as presented.
I would be very happy to make that motion.
Okay. Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes.
Great. Is there a second?
I will happily second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. We'll be moving on to business operations. 9A, contracts over $25,000 for October 2025. Dr. Vang.
So for contracts over $25,000, I do have 2 contracts. The first is the MOU with the City of St. Helena for the school resource officer. This would be Officer Masella, and the contract is not to exceed $159,630 for this school year. It is a 3-year contract, and with the 3-year contract, the district will be paying for 75% of Officer Masella's salary, inclusive of employment benefits provided under this MOU. And so on the summary sheet, I've provided the estimated district share there for you. The second contract is for Strata, who is the contractor to provide the gate drawings for DSA review. If you recall, back at the November 14th, 2024 regular board meeting, you had approved a $5 million transfer from Fund 01 to Fund 40 to address 3 facilities projects. One of those was the EV bus infrastructure, and part of that infrastructure was the gate. So now that we have a contractor who has drawings that we are ready to submit to DSA, these are the 2 contracts that I'm bringing forth. And if there are any questions on the gate, Steve is still here to help us answer those questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions?
I do, actually. I think it's just a simple question. Could you please tell me that this is the last aspect that we will be seeing of the EV bus project?
Correct. Chargers are in, infrastructure is completed, things are going well over there, EV chargers are working. The gate is to allow for the safe egress and ingress of our school buses, because we do have 2 electric buses that have to park inside, and now we also have the new electric van that the board approved. So there are actually 3 vehicles that will be parked in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
But we're not expecting anything else?
I promise this is it.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Dr. Vang.
So then maybe I'm missing something here then. So this is for the service for submission of gate drawings to DSA. So then DSA goes through, and then what's the next step?
Steve, do you want to add some details to that?
Absolutely. So what will happen is Strata will put together their drawings in conjunction with the shop drawings for the gate. So you'll have a melding of the 2 drawing sets. Those will go to DSA, they'll be plan checked, and there'll be comments, they'll go through a second round, and then hopefully at that point, we get approval. And in recent changes with DSA, we originally thought we would be able to incorporate with the project and not go through DSA for this part of it. But unfortunately, there was an accident that had happened. I don't know if it was this last year or years ago, but they had an issue with the gate being unsafe. So they're looking at all of those. Any fence, anytime you penetrate through a fence with a gate or pedestrian access or anything like that, they want to look at it for making sure everything is structurally correct as well as accessibility. So this is just going through that whole process, and Strata needs to actually ask for additional funds to be able to coordinate all that.
So it sounds, so the gate and everything is built, it's there. So we're doing, it's a little bit backwards then?
No.
No.
So then we're going to have more expenses than with the gate?
The funds have already been set aside. You have already approved that when you approved the $5 million. So now this is a formality for you guys to approve these contracts that the funds have already been set aside for.
And I don't recall, what is the budget for the gate then? How much are we looking for that?
We had 185,000 as a budget number for that. So that's the construction part of it that's already been approved. And then this is the architectural or design part of it that needs to go through that extra step.
Okay, so 185,000 then for the gate structure?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And so probably like summertime then, as far as getting through DSA and?
Well, if we're lucky, it'll go through DSA pretty quickly, and we'll be able to get this into a spring condition where we can put that in. It's not going to be too conditioned upon weather because it's just a little strip that has to be paved, patch paved, and we have to do some striping and install the gate, drill some holes, that type of thing. So it won't be too weather dependent, let's put it that way.
Okay. Right, thank you.
I guess I
we've had a couple cases where DSA does not approve a design, and then I guess this is for gate drawings, so if they have to redo a gate drawing, this fee is inclusive. I just feel like sometimes we get those bills, it's like, well, when the construction costs went up by $40,000, now somebody else wants the 10% of the, sorry. So I guess that's where I'm struggling with, I don't know how you can guarantee that there will be no costs unless this is not that model.
Well, again, the funds have already been set aside, so we still have that 185,000. So I think we're
Correct.
all clear on that piece.
Yes.
So with this DSA, we have the drawings, and this is more of a procedural piece right now. We don't foresee DSA not approving these. Steve, do you want to speak a little bit more to that?
Well, as an example, Kay and I and Mike Flores, we went out to Pittsburgh School District, and they have the same gate that we're looking at installing. So I know that they went through DSA for their facility there, and it's a fairly new facility. So I don't anticipate any problems with getting this gate approved.
Okay, thank you.
It's actually a very safe gate because the gate actually sits between some columns and keeps the gate from falling over. It's a cantilever type style, so it doesn't ride on the ground. It just goes out on a cantilever and then it retracts.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Nope.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, is there a motion to approve the contracts over 25,000 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, motion carried. We're going to move on to 9B. Approve school-connected organizations per board policy 1230, school-connected organizations. I'd like to call on Dr. Vang.
All right, thank you. Last month, the board approved 3 school-connected organizations, and this month I have 2 more to add to that list. Those 2 organizations are the primary school and the elementary school parent groups, along with the high school parent groups. So this takes care of all 4 of our school sites in terms of the parent groups. We have 1 more school-connected organization, and that is the Ag Boosters, and I am anticipating on getting that application either next month for next month's board meeting or the one after that. But for this month, I've got these 2 for the board to approve.
Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve school-connected organizations per board policy 1230, school-connected organizations as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes.
Thanks. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. 10A, approval, The consent agenda contains routine items judged as appropriate to be acted upon in one motion. If a board member requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda, the item will be considered under discussion action items. So, yeah. Okay, so I would like to remove items 10I and 10J for discussion. Is there a motion to approve items 10A through 10H and item 10K as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Dr. McClay, would you like to begin the discussion on item 10I?
I'm happy to, thank you. So our SHTA president, Mr. Lulsdorf, has asked me to pull the advisory MOU from this item so that we as a team can revisit it and bring it back at a later date. So before you this evening, we are asking you to vote only on the technology stipend MOU as a part of this item.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to approve item 10I as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
I think.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I think I got lost here.
Sure, of course.
Are we discussing the stipend, or did we just make the motion to approve it?
We can discuss it.
I was hoping
Yeah, let's discuss it.
we could.
Yeah. Trustee Wolf, what's your question on it?
Well,
Absolutely.
I just had some questions because I was looking at it, and I know we've talked a lot about finances and trying to find ways where we can save money. And so I was kind of curious, naive, I don't know enough about this. Like, do we have a way of knowing how these four individuals, how often this service is used? Because they're pretty healthy, amounts of stipend. And I'm just curious, several questions. Is this something that is done online, that people contact the person online? Do they go to their office, which makes me wonder, do we need one person at each campus? And do we have any kind of tracking system to know how much is used? Am I in the wrong?
No, that's a different.
Okay.
We
You're
need the
talking about the
stipend.
technology one? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Am I good?
Yes.
This
Okay,
is the one.
okay.
There we go.
And so my question was, I feel uncomfortable approving something without knowing how efficient this is and how much is happening to warrant a stipend of that amount of money? How much of a requirement? Is there any data collected? How do we know this is an effective use of our funds? That's basically my question.
Okay.
A long, convoluted one, but. that
No,
was
I mean,
it.
I think it sounds like perhaps we could request some sort of a log or an intake that our tech teachers could do this year to just see how often.
I think Mr. Heller has some information on this one.
Yeah,
Great, Mr.
a
Heller.
few years back, we changed a classification, a job description that provided instructional support for teachers in using new technological apps and things like that. And so we've transitioned to Google Classroom. We have programs like Canva, the Promethean boards that require teachers to come in and show tips, tricks, how to use those. But we don't have a dedicated person who provides that on staff. And so a few years back, obviously within the last 3 years, that transition occurred. And annually, we've been providing this stipend to have a point person on each site that provides a lot of the support for other teachers in using technology. Usually it's somebody that is well-versed in many of the applications. Ben provided me some information today from the high school, and it's an array of different programs that would require somebody to know quite a bit about a lot, quite a bit about many of the different applications. So, typically we don't ask for stipends to have a log, like we wouldn't ask our basketball coach or our ILTs to provide a log for their stipends. So it's kind of under the good faith that they're going to be used and that principals audit them at the end of the year and ensure that we get our value out of the stipends for the work performed. Again, it's an MOU. It's up for discussion and future contract considerations.
Okay.
But I know for a fact, and if Mr. Cinto wants to speak to it, he's welcome to, but I could say that the 9% stipend at the high school, there's a lot of value there in moving teachers forward and using those applications at the school.
Yeah, Mr. Cinto, could you speak on that a little bit? I'm just wanting to know more.
I'll do what I can. Yeah, I mean, and Dr. Vane can speak with this too. I mean, we cut about $30,000 from our tech supplemental curriculum this summer. I still think there's upwards of 40 to 50 programs that teachers run independently in their classes that are funded by the school. So there's a lot of on-hand, like what Mr. Heller was saying, differentiated support based on what an English teacher uses, a math teacher uses, and a lot of that happens, as well as partnership with our data integration specialist, Michelle Haupt. Paige Rios is our site tech person. She works pretty closely with her to mitigate low-level ARIES issues in support of teachers. So yeah, I think, you know, it's not a $185,000 gate, but it's definitely something that helps teachers on the daily. And you think about the immediate need in their classrooms, and even like minor technical issues, printers or whatever. There's a lot of things that happen live that somebody has to jump on over. And I know Ms. Rios supports teachers on her prep period, on her collaboration period, and she also has a period to do advisory coordination, and teachers are accessing her all the time for various issues.
You would definitely say that she is daily, she has her tech role in place.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, yes, and $9,000 is no drop in the bucket, but in terms of what we're getting out of it for that, I mean, the tech guys are awesome, right? They're really great, but there's only 3 of them for our entire district. So having somebody on site who knows not only the front end, but the back end of the tech support, and her work with Michelle Haupt is really, really helpful. And she's helped us. I mean, even her facilitation of advisory is all tech dependent. But her statistics class, I mean, there's so many things that she incorporates technology, and teachers go to her as a resource to make that happen in their classrooms as well.
Okay. So what does training look like for her? Because if you're saying that there are all of these different apps, that
she spends time outside of school, like whatever the question is, if she can't answer
trainings
it, right? No, I mean she's very self-sufficient, and she's a quick learn. I mean, she did the Toro program for innovative tech and in education, so that's kind of helped her as well. But you know, the people there said she could have taught the class herself. So she's a self-starter. She's very efficient in what she does, and she's a great resource to our staff.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and not just the high school. Oh,
I
sorry.
was just going to ask, does this also include something, not just your school site, but like STAR, or was it MAP? And so she is an on-site.
Yeah, and I mean, we're all learning that one right now
Right,
as
that's
well.
what I was
But yeah,
curious.
she's at the ready, and she's very efficient.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's not just a conversation, I guess, for the high school, also looking at what tech support looks like at the other schools. Yeah, and are the other school, like I'm looking at the elementary school and the primary school, those are significantly lower. Is that because of size? Okay.
Yeah, size and scope and use of different programs. Rebecca, you know, is not here tonight, but she could speak to that as well. If it's helpful for trustees, I can have principals compile, you know, a list of what their tech support does, and we can have that sent out.
Yeah, I would appreciate that, just to check in. You know, with all the stipends, it would be nice if once in a while we get an update on the efficiency and how they're being used. Thank you very much. Okay, any other questions?
So with that,
Oh, yes.
does that, you said you were not comfortable voting on something that you didn't understand, so I don't know if the vote, have we completed that? We haven't completed the
No, we
vote.
have not.
So I don't know if you want to go
Yeah,
back
give me
and
1 second.
um,
gonna
make
redo
sure.
it. So I'm going to redo this from the beginning. Trustee Wolf, how does that sound to you?
Revote on it,
Yeah,
you mean?
on it, yeah. Or what
Yes,
what
I
your
don't.
thoughts on it? Do you?
What? Well,
Would
I
you
don't
like
know
to
if I
wait?
kind of would, because I just feel like it would be nice to have some kind of backup to how the money's spent. And I don't know, I don't mean they have to make a report every time somebody comes in, but it would be nice if we could even get a 1 paragraph of how often they see people.
Sure.
it just, makes me wonder if the scope is small, could this primary and elementary have a person? Or I don't know. I know we're trying so hard to be financially responsible, and I'm just more curious, would love to have a little more information. So I kind of feel like I don't want to approve it till we know this is really a good expense.
Okay, do I have another trustee who have any comments about that?
Well, I agree that being educated about what these positions are, I think given that, I don't see it being totally fair right now to remove it when these people are already in their roles and have already provided services to their fellow staff at their campuses. But to your point, I think knowing what everybody does for a stipend is, there's no harm, no foul in that. And for us to be educated and know, to your point, is there some consolidation that makes sense? Is there, reorganization or structuring? Tonight, I'm in support of voting for it. That would be where I'm coming for tonight.
So maybe going forward, before this is approved for next academic year.
Yeah, we can get this information and ask Dr. McClay to work with, to provide that information. I don't say that so you can still certainly vote no this evening. That's not, but I just feel like at where we are, live, real time, I'm not so sure it's a fair thing to do to our staff that's already in the midst of it.
Okay.
That's just where I sit.
Quick question for Mr. Heller. So if we held off for a month and we got those paragraphs and we could think about it a little bit more, would that affect the stipend distribution to the teachers for the month between now and the next board meeting?
Well, I think to Trustee Pelosi's point is the work is being performed, and if the understanding is that's going to be halted, then those folks that are providing instructional support would stop at this point.
Until.
And I think it wouldn't. I think it would be detrimental to the work that we're doing.
Okay, because of the
Because
MOU,
it's being
Has
performed.
to be, okay. It has to
Yeah.
be
So would
approved
this-
So I don't have a
continue.
problem getting the information for future consideration. I'm just concerned if it were to stop for a month to be reviewed, what the impact might be in the classroom.
Well, so for next year, would this be something that could come to us in August or something, before they've already started?
Well, let's request that then, please.
Absolutely, yes. We will get you the documentation. And then also, typically an MOU is supposed to be kind of like a pilot, like a 1-year thing, maybe a 2-year thing. So Mr. Heller and Dr. Vang and I can discuss that and how we get away from an MOU and either in the contract or not, and we'll do kind of a full-scale review of this for you.
That's what I was going to say, is it's probably not just this one, it's all of them.
All of them.
And then this one says it's since COVID, so.
And I totally respect that they're in their position and they're doing it. That's why I'm kind of requesting in the future, before it's up and running, that maybe we get a chance to make that decision.
To review it.
Thank you.
That makes sense. So
That
moving
makes sense.
forward, if we could look at the MOU more than the month that it needs to be approved with other stipends as well. Okay, thank you, Trustee Wolf. Okay,
So I think you need to finish the vote.
yes, I am looking.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that,
No,
President.
thank you. It's a team effort. Okay, so, give me 1 second. Okay, this was item I. Okay, sorry. Is there a motion to approve item 10I as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Dr. McClay, would you like to begin the discussion on item 10J, approval of the personal register?
I believe Vice President Pelosi is going to
Yes,
make a statement.
I'm going to make, for item J, I am recusing myself because my son appears on the personnel report. While there's no financial interest, but as required by law, I will abstain from voting on the matter, and I will step outside the room while you guys
Okay,
do so.
all
Okay.
righty. Okay, is there a motion to approve item 10J, approval of the personnel register?
I'll make that motion.
Oh, as,
Oh, as presented.
sorry. Okay, as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, at this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
But you almost blew it.
We're going to take a 5-minute break, and we will be back. Thank you. Okay, we're going to return with communications. We're at 11A, Board Member Report, and I'd like to call on Trustee Mora.
Thank you so much. I do not have slides, so I'm just going to be sharing, I guess it was I don't know if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, time is flying, but I was invited in to observe the grade level PLC collaboration sessions at the elementary school. And just to give an example, so in the third grade team, they were actively, first of all, thank you for Kathy having me in, and then for the teachers letting me sit there and observe. It's always kind of probably a little bit awkward to have someone sitting around watching you work, and sitting in the back, not part of the team. It's always just a little awkward. And they all said, come sit with me at the table. So it was very inviting, just to show that. So the third grade, they were adjusting live, kind of like a Google Doc. They were adjusting live a math problem, a math worksheet. And what they were talking about is, why are we having a worksheet that has 15 problems doing the same thing when we could pare it down to 5 and really understand if they get the standard quickly? And how can we make one math problem, and it was 3-digit subtraction, I think mainly, uncover if they understand the 2 different standards that we want, right? So they're trying to blend in 2 standards into one problem and quickly see, do I have a problem or not? Do they understand it? How many of them understand it? Then I can triage from there. So that was an example, and it was just really cool to see them live coming up with what those problems would be, and then that they're all using the same problems, right? So that's the benefit of it. Fourth grade, I saw an example of where teachers are collaborating on the best first instruction. One of the teachers went to the Promethean board to actually simulate what she did in the classroom with a student I think they were doing like identifying thousands digits, I think. I forget. I learned something new that I did not learn when my kids were going through 4th grade, but I can't even remember it to tell you, so I apologize. But they were grouping them into like groups of 10s. But she did a live example of, this is what I did with the class, and here's why it worked well. And so that's just an example of the teacher collaboration that's going on. So it's not just what they're teaching and what the standards are, but why was it so effective, and how do you use it in your classes? And the 5th grade team, they were creating a grading rubric for essays, for an essay assignment. And what was interesting is they had the discussion, well, we're in the beginning of the year, so how do I grade them if at level is at the end of the year? How do I grade them now? Because they don't have the standard yet. So it was just an interesting discussion of, do I give them a rubric that has the expectation of the standard at the end of the year, or one now? And then they were going through examples of what do I expect with the main idea and 3 supporting topics, right? So it's just consistency across the grade level is the key, and it was great to see. And then just, again, that's the 5th grade separates out into 2 teachers teaching math and 2 teachers teaching English, ELA, just to make sure everybody knew that. So, but still all 4 of them collaborating on those standards, and then the rubric. And the other thing to share that, not on my note, but okay, now I'm forgetting the term. What are those 5 things? Tights, no. Tights, okay. But it was all going back to the reinforcement is what they're doing in the PLC, and when I look through the worksheets, I can share them with you guys of what they're looking at the level. But basically what I wanted to say is what they're doing is they're working at the advanced level of the PLC implementation. Okay. So it's not, they're well past the basics, they're in the advanced level, and then self-grading themselves on where are we within all of these tights. Sorry, but so that was it. Thank you. I learned a lot. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Any questions for Trustee Mora? No? Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to 11B, Superintendent Report. Dr. McClay.
Okay, thank you. I have just a few highlights from what has been a very busy month since we last met. First, last week, as you know, was homecoming, and what an experience that was. Oh my goodness. I think every single St. Helena community member was involved in some way, shape, or another. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Cinto, Mr. Fetters, and Mrs. Brazil for their efforts to put that entire week together, from the rallies and the thematic days at the high school to the parade, as well as game night Friday night, which, way to go, Andy. Talk about a comeback, right? I think everybody was a little down at halftime, and then by the end, holy cow. So it really was an awesome week and showed the spirit not only of the high school, but really the school district as well as the community coming together, which was really awesome. We also held a ribbon cutting ceremony last night for the St. Helena High School Wellness Center. If you haven't had a chance to visit that downstairs, it's an amazing resource for our families. I believe they said last night that almost 400 students, or a total of 400 interactions since the start of the school year, with students coming in to either receive some services or some resources, or just take a few moments in our busy lives to decompress and enjoy the environment. So I would strongly encourage anyone to go and check it out. Also a shout out to Mr. Cinto, to Mrs. Robledo, to the Up Valley Family Center. It really was a joint partnership with quite a few people working really, really hard to bring this center to fruition. So it was a lovely ceremony. From an instructional perspective, I was fortunate with Mrs. Romo Flores today to spend our second full day with 3 full teams, one from the primary school, one from the elementary school, and one from the middle school. High school's doing something a little bit different for their PLC work, but these 3 teams spent the day in what's called the CAPS session, where they are really diving into, as Mrs. Moore mentioned, the advanced concepts of PLCs, and that is always quite a treat to see our teachers so invested in that work, and really the benefits that our students are getting from it. So today I know even RLS was highlighted again in front of a room full of about 150 educators from throughout several counties. So kudos to all of those teams for their work. And last, kind of an anecdotal, I just wanted to share that I had a parent call yesterday, and I take those quite frequently. I enjoy talking with our parents. But this one was a parent who called simply to share the amazing experiences that his children have had in our schools. Right now, his oldest is a senior, so they're going through the college out process and getting ready to move on. But just from primary school all the way up, what an absolute gem, I think, to quote him, our schools are in this community. And I thought, in today's day and age, when so many folks don't take the time to make a positive call, it's kind of like, when do you fill out a survey when you're upset, right? This gentleman was so thankful and so appreciative of our schools. It really was an awesome reminder that I wish more of our staff and community could hear. Because I have the benefit of being in classrooms and on campuses every day and seeing the amazing things that are going on, but we truly are a gem. And so that was just a lovely way to kind of end my day with that parent. And then last but not least, I made just a real brief list here, a few upcoming events. 2, fortunately, Mrs. Robledo mentioned, the Phone-Free Childhood series. Mark your calendars for that. We strongly encourage folks. I believe the next session or the first session on that one is January 12th. So we've got a while still. Thank you, Erica. But this will undoubtedly be a very, very powerful session. We're really talking about how to help kids just enjoy childhood, right? And let's be device-free as much as we can. The Anxious Generation is the other one that I would like to recommend. The second session is on October 14th. If you missed the first session, no worries whatsoever. This is the kind of thing you can even pop in for just a few minutes. I believe Trustee Wolf and I had maybe a 5-minute conversation with Principal Rocha about this topic, and it was all I talked about for several days. It's a really powerful message, this book by Jonathan Haidt, really about just all that we can do, not just technology-wise, but just in life in general, to help our children navigate and learn all of the skills necessary to be successful. And then the third and final, just calendar item, is a reminder, don't forget that Monday the 13th is no school. We have a professional development day for our staff, those staff who are working, and we want to thank publicly Assistant Principal Greg Fetters. He has put together several hours worth of professional development on safety and security. So we're bringing in some experts from the county to work with our staff just to always ensure that we are prepared for any type of emergency. So no school on Monday. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. McClay. Any questions for Dr. McClay, trustees?
No, but I want to tag on to the Wellness Center because it was great yesterday. And I think it's something to know that we learned yesterday is that they have a QR code poster down there about job opportunities for students. And if anybody comes across potential jobs for high school students, you should contact the Wellness Center or through Up Valley and let them know, because they're always kind of running an updated list, if you will, for job opportunities. And I thought I would mention this because I think the board would be happy to know that the no cell phone policy does extend into the Wellness Center, so that when they check in, and whether they're going into the lovely relaxing room down there or utilizing the other services, the no cell phone policy still holds.
That's great.
So I just wanted to share that as well.
So how do they scan the QR code for jobs?
Well, I'm saying when they go into the room.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Well, yeah, but in other words, because my question was, so you come into this lovely, peaceful, calming room. I just was curious, like what, because there's not the caddies like there are in classrooms, and they said no, but it's a device-free space.
Great.
So, but to your point, you're right. The other one, you do have to use your device for the QR code. So, thank you.
Well, that only takes a moment.
I'm going to add to your list of things, and I believe it's next Thursday, the October 16th, excuse my bad Spanish accent, the Fiesta de Octubre. And if you haven't gone, it's hysterical to see these wonderful teachers herd these preschool or the primary school and the elementary school, and they're doing these dances, and they're all dressed up, and it's quite an entertaining moment. So make sure you go for that one. Yeah.
All righty. Okay. We're going to move on to 11C, Chief Business Officials Budget Update. Dr. Vang.
All right, so I have 5 items that I wanted to update and share with the board today. The first, at last month's board meeting, the board had asked for numbers regarding the possibly affected education programs per the One Big Beautiful Bill that we know has been passed. And so I have listed here the education programs that we have in our district and the amounts for each of these programs. So in total, we could have, our total amount is about a little over $2 million. And that includes LCFF, which is the state portion, expanded learning opportunities. We still have some remaining funds that we will, we have some remaining funds from last year, but we also have an ongoing allocation for each year. We also have CTEG and school nutrition meals. We get both state and federal reimbursement. So the number you see here, the $851,000, are the federal reimbursement. IDA, which is for Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Title I, and Title IV. So these are the programs that could be impacted. Additionally, as you all may know, we are currently in a federal government shutdown, which began on October 1st. And this may impact our cash flow if there are delays. There could possibly be delays. The longer the shutdown goes, the more the risk grows for our district. So we want to make sure that we're aware of this, and I will continue to monitor the federal landscape the best I can and share, provide the board with updates. For the second item, as County Superintendent Josh Schultz shared earlier, NCOE is responsible for reviewing and approving the district's LCAP and budget. And I've also attached in the agenda the letter of approval from the county office. And I do want to point out that the county office commends the district for our proactive efforts in sustaining adequate fund balance reserves for both cash flow and unforeseen economic uncertainties. And you have heard me say this over and over again. We are in, our current state of this volatile economic and political condition just further reinforces the need for community-funded districts such as ours to have higher reserves. That's something that we've heard over and over from Schools for Sound Finance, also known as SF Square, and they are part of School Services of California. They do recommend a 33% of our excess property taxes, and I know that that is also one of the board's goals. And so we want to continue to ensure that we have a healthy reserve for unforeseen times. For the third item, I wanted to share that Senate Bill 88 has passed. It went into effect July 1st of 2025. And SB 88 has two components. The first are around driver requirements, and the second component is around vehicle requirements. For the driver requirements, basically there are two, there's a list of requirements that drivers have to meet if they are driving, and I'm not talking about bus drivers, that they are separate. These are for drivers who are driving vehicles with 10 passengers or less. So actually it's a 10 vehicle passenger. So for these drivers, they are exempt if they drive under 40 hours a year. But if they drive over 40, then they have to abide by these new requirements, such as, and the two that are the most important that I wanted to point out are drivers have to be enrolled in the DMV employer pool notice, which allows the district to continuously monitor drivers' driving records, because we want to ensure that we have drivers who are keeping our students safe on the road. And also, it places them in a random selection drug and alcohol testing. So that is, again, only for drivers who are driving over 40 hours. So this really pertains to two of our employees, two of our classified employees. And again, this does not pertain to our bus drivers because they're in a different pool. For the vehicle requirement, it does require an annual inspection every 12 months or 50,000 miles, whichever comes first. It's the 19-point vehicle inspection. And so earlier this school year, knowing that this law had passed, I worked closely with our ag department, our athletics, and home to school transportation to ensure that all of our vehicles listed there passed and went through the 19-point inspection. So I've shared there the costs so far, and I believe we just got another bill that was close to $5,000. So we're roughly around $15,000, $16,000 right now to ensure compliance with this bill. The fourth item here, about 2 weeks ago, I attended my very first CAJAPA Fall Conference, which was held in Monterey. And CAJAPA is the California Joint Powers Authority organization. They hold annual conferences for all joint power authorities, JPAs, throughout the state of California. So it's not just for public schools, it's for all public organizations such as city, fire departments, police. And as you all know, we are part of North Bay Schools Insurance Authority, NBSIA, which is our JPA. And through NBSIA, This is who we have pooled our resources with in order to obtain property liability and workers' comp coverage for our district. Our deductible for property coverage is $5,000, and I've also shared here a chart of our premiums over the years. You can see an increase over the years. The last item that I'd like to share with the board is considerations for a budget set aside. In December, I'll be reporting out, sharing the first interim report, and there are two major budget set-asides. The first is a potential TK math adoption. I've been working closely with our Ed Services Director, Mrs. Roma Flores. It is my understanding that our district will be piloting a new math program as our curriculum is 10 years old and poorly aligned to our California mathematics framework. So I am planning on setting aside $500,000 for the new curriculum along with professional development. The second is a Chromebook refresh for grades for students entering 3rd, 6th, and 9th grade next school year. I've been working closely with our IT director, Mr. Machado, and we've obtained a quote that is at approximately over $100,000 to provide a device refresh for these 3 grade levels. And again, it's important, we've worked hard to establish this annual device refresh process. This process ensures that our student devices maintain the 1-year manufacturer warranty, I should say, and this is critical for our high school and our middle school students, particularly because they carry their devices around and we seem to have, there seems to be more of a need for repairs there. So with this warranty, it just makes the cost of the device repairs easier to manage, and it also allows for a faster turnaround time. Prior to this, we were managing higher costs and slower turnaround time, which impacts students having access to devices. So those are the 5 items that I wanted to share with the board today, and that is my report. Thank you.
Trustees, any questions? No, just
Sorry.
presentation.
I did, I was waiting. Number 1 on your item, the one big beautiful bill, potential impacts, and the government shutdown could delay payments. Is there a date when we usually have this money or when we would know? I guess I'm confused on, does it hit at a certain time of year, therefore we might be impacted, or does it come every month?
It comes, remember, money flows in throughout the school year, and it comes in at different months throughout the school year. So I will be monitoring our cash flow, as I always do, closely. As I get more information in terms of impacts that may affect us, I will definitely keep the board updated. But right now, what we have, my understanding right now is that our programs right now we're still expected to receive our allocations for this school year. If you recall, earlier this year, we had our federal funds withheld, and then they released them about a month later. So far, we've just been told to be conservative and to just know that there's a lot going on right now, a lot of uncertainties. So if we are impacted, it is over $2 million of federal funds that we do get.
Thus, the need for a healthy reserve. Okay. Then I just wanted to clarify on this vehicle inspection, it would never impact a parent driver. This is just vehicles owned by the district with employees driving under 40 hours, whatever those rules were. Okay, just
Correct.
wanted to make sure. And I had one other. So the last one, number 5 on the budget set aside, I guess I want to make sure I understand this. So is when this $500,000 for a new curriculum adoption, are you saying that you're just earmarking money that we have in budget for this? Or is this going to show up as a further in the red for this school year budget? I'm trying to understand your terminology a little bit better.
So the $500,000, I will set it aside when I work on first interim, and you'll see it in the report as a set aside. I obviously did not budget for it for this year, come into this year. So that's why when first interim comes around in December, you'll see it, and I didn't want this to be a surprise. But yes, that 500,000 will be in there, and I will be working closely with Dr. McClay on how we set this aside and where.
So it sounds to me though, so since you're going to be setting it aside kind of mid-year, we might see at that first interim, we will see a larger, yeah.
Yes, it will be set
Larger.
aside. Again, I'll be working with Dr. McClay on this. We have, if I set aside based on, taking out of our reserves, then you'll see it under the reserves. Otherwise, we have to figure out 500,000 to cut somewhere, which probably is not realistic. So.
Okay, so we're ready for a larger budget deficit then, in December, is what we're saying here, to see that, yeah, okay.
Which basically is using more reserves. Okay.
With this being a TK-8 math adoption, do we have things coming down the pipes for high school that we need to be prepared for, or is that math curriculum sufficient at this time for the next few years?
I will defer to Mrs. Romo Flores on that.
Mrs. Roma Flores, no, that's okay. Can you walk the board briefly through the status of a 9-12 math adoption? We know that the timeline right now is TK through 8.
Yeah, currently there isn't a calendar for a 9 through 12 adoption for math. It's only for, it's a K-8 adoption at this period.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? I had a question about the tech refresh. I believe it currently occurs every 3 years. Is that correct?
Depends on the grade level.
Okay. Can you just give me a quick?
Sure. In fact,
summary
I
of
will
that?
have Mr. Machado come here because he'll do a much better job elaborating.
Hi. I just wanted a brief understanding of the timeline of the tech refresh.
Got it. So every year we refresh the entry levels for each entry grade level at each site that we have.
Okay.
The only ones that we don't do that for as of right now are the primary school, and this is because their devices tend to be in really good shape as we go forward each year, so they can kind of be reused by each class as we go forward. And some of the information I sent to Dr. Vang is that we are considering doing that for third grade as well. And the reason for that is that the elementary school and the primary school devices do not move very much. They tend to stay at the sites, they tend to have less repairs, which is why we don't buy extended warranties on them like we do the middle school and the high school. So because they stay at those sites, we can do not in-house repairs, but we kind of farm it out to a company that we use if the repairs aren't too drastic, they're cheaper, their turnaround times are a little longer, but because they have so many devices that are spares in the spare fleet, we don't feel the hurt there. That's one of the reasons why we have quicker turnaround times at the high school and middle school, and why you see that extended warranty on the quotes that we purchase every year. What we've done in the last few years, last year you guys approved 2 grade levels worth of Chromebooks for RLS. That was to get them all on 3-year warranty cycles. So now RLS is on a warranty cycle where their devices will be covered every year that a student attends RLS. So if I'm a 6th grader, I keep that device in 7th and 8th, and I can guarantee that it's going to be repaired. Same thing at the high school. So 1 year ago, 2 grade levels at RLS, 2 years ago, 4 grade levels at the high school. We also bought 4-year warranties there so we could guarantee the same thing. We are going to be in the third year of Chromebook utilization at the high school next school year, and so we would like to start to refresh at 9th grade next year with a 4-year warranty, but it's only one grade level. So the reason you saw such a big hit last year and the year before is because we had to buy 4 grade levels for one site, and last year we had to buy 2 grade levels for one site.
Right.
Now we're going to go back to phasing them in year by year. Again, one of the options that I gave Dr. Vang was that we can eliminate some of those additional costs by not doing that at the elementary and primary school level, and only doing a refresh when the Google auto update policy, which is 10 years, et cetera, I'm sorry, too much tech, when that starts to expire, we can kind of look at that a year before and say, okay, we need to refresh the site because these devices aren't going to update anymore. I would recommend for RLS in the high school, you continue doing a 1-year cycle with that extended warranty of 3 years for RLS and extended for 4 years at the high school. That way you can ensure that the devices are in good shape.
Oh, I didn't want you to say that. I wanted to see if we could stretch it out as more, closer to 5 years.
Well, one of the things that we had tried with the high school and RLS was that we were doing the same warranty program as the elementary and the primary. But what we found is that because the devices go home, they get damaged more frequently. And because they get damaged more frequently, we were really pulling into our spares and sending devices out to get repaired. The problem with sending out devices to get repaired by Sterling, who's the company who does our repairs, is more often than not, they cost more than the device, sometimes even double the device. So we were really dipping into our blanket PO that we have with Sterling, which started at $10,000, and we had to extend it once another $10,000 and again another $15,000. And that's 4 sites pulling from that budget. Elementary and primary by themselves don't eat into that. We haven't had to extend it this year. We didn't have to extend it last year. It got to stay under that 10,000 versus, using the warranty at RLS in the high school. So it's quicker, it's better turnaround time, it is expensive, but it ensures that we can keep devices in student hands. There was a couple years there where we had to send 20 from RLS and then 20 from the high school, and then I have the library media specialist calling me saying, I don't know where my devices are. They're not coming back. And then we would call Sterling and say, they're still in repair, you sent us too many. So versus Dell, which is the extended warranty you pay for, we go to Dell Tech Direct, we have a technician who comes out on site the next day, parts permitting, that repairs the device and we get it back in student hands. So it's expensive, but it's worth it to keep devices in student hands.
And also we have because I've signed it as well, the parent commitment with the contract with the devices.
Absolutely.
How has it been with broken devices and families paying for the broken or lost?
In the last 2 years, I've worked with admin and library media specialists to redevelop that fee schedule because it wasn't being utilized as much as I would have liked it to. So now we have a bit of a 3- and 4-tiered system where the thing to keep in mind is that we cannot charge a student in excess of what a device costs. However, we can charge up to half, and then the other half if a device is completely broken. So if the device is treated negligibly and it is destroyed, we can charge them for the cost of the device. We have it set at a flat $300 because we don't usually buy devices more expensive than that. And then they would pay the cost of the device, and that would go back to the district. And then we could buy replacements if needed. So it's meant to deter. The media specialist and administration, has complete control over that. And I've explained it to them before how to utilize this, how to use this, what's an accident, what's, what can we kind of say okay, don't do this again, sort of deal. And every student gets a freebie too. They get 1 freebie a year. So if something is damaged, destroyed, more than likely can be replaced, they do get that 1 freebie because we get 1 accidental on our extended warranties every year. So, and because we have a decent spare fleet at the elementary and primary, we can afford to give them a freebie a year. So,
Derek, is the damage that you see just from careless use, like throwing the backpacks down, is it damage on the outside that will then cause internal damage?
It's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's just general wear and tear, being in a backpack all day, going from class to class, going to and from home. Other times it's misuse and being in a backpack. Or I remember being in middle school. I didn't have a Chromebook or anything like that, but I remember going up to one of my classes and taking my backpack and throwing it right at the door, and I'm sure that still happens today. So it's a little bit of both. We heavily rely on the media specialists and the administrators at each of the sites to enforce the fee schedule. And, one of the things that's written into the fee schedule is this is the second time that you might be getting fined for misuse of your device. It's time to have a sit-down conversation and figure out what's going on. Because the fines are there, but sometimes it's a little bit more than that. So I rely on the administrators to go that avenue to find out, hey, why are we doing this? So.
Yeah, I was curious about student education. One more quick question. I know we have safety cases for our cell phones when we drop them.
Right.
Do we have anything like that for computers? Because I know students taking their computers in and out of cases is unrealistic.
Sure.
But is there any hardware that can be fit on the computers to protect them, which we could try a longer refresh?
We've considered it before, and we've looked at them, and we get salespeople asking us all the time. Some of them are inside bags and cases and things like that. I haven't found that the cost justifies the protection that they give. You're talking anywhere between $80 to upwards of $200 more per device, not part of the device cost, but to protect the device. And we just don't find. Here's the thing. Those you're not going to recycle. We used to have bags here at the high school. Now, they weren't protective cases, but we used to issue them to each high school student, and we would get them back, and they would be in terrible shape each year. So each year you're buying more and more bags as well. So, or cases.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, we're going to move on. Let me see where we are. Sorry, give me one moment. 11D, Superintendent Subcommittee Reports. We're going to save board policy conversation for later in the agenda. We had our business operations meeting on September 25th, our LCAP on October 2nd, and our student experience on September 18th. So let's begin with business operations. Trustee Mora and Trustee Wolf were present. Is there anything you'd like to share?
I prepared this time since last month. I think I forgot that I was at a meeting. So I'm doing better this time. Let's see. So some of the highlights, the first thing that came up, which we actually just saw on the CBO report, but the cafeteria costs continue to be higher than the state funding, assuming we get it. That is another thing that we supplement with our yearly fund. Second area, there was quite a bit of discussion about reserves. It was just kind of a little bit of there's reminder that the state requires a basic aid, is it just basic aid, to have 3% reserves, which is 2 weeks of salary. So it's everyone. So that's 2 weeks of salary. And that's just salary, not all other expenses like power, sewage, water, okay? And then as another example, 17% of our budget is 2 months of salary, just salary. So the 3% of a reserve is state law. St. Helena Unified has a goal of 33% of reserves. The question came up that this policy was put in place by the board 14 or 15 years ago. It was suggested that it's antiquated and should be adjusted to 6. I don't know where the number came from, but I guess what I wanted to acknowledge to this group is maybe you might be, Jeannie, the only person who was here then, but not now. But I don't know if there's something. Okay. An education and then sharing out back to business ops, not just here, because maybe only one person here was there. Just be useful to understand the why, and then the request was maybe the board should adjust it down from 33. So that was just a suggestion out there. It was shared that the Schools for Sound Finance, SF Squared, said that basic aid districts should have a 33% salary, which sounds like 33% reserve, which if I'm doing the math from what I previously said, that's 4 months of just salary. Let's see. And then there was a perception of some of the attendees that the board is not touching the reserves, that it sits there. And I just clarified that actually the last the 3 big facility projects that we've done have absolutely used reserve, the RLS track, the St. Helena primary school roof, and then next summer's the plan of the elementary school roof. So I did just clarify that we are dipping into the reserves to pay for items and then school curriculum adoption, right? So that was just some big examples. The final topic that came up was does the Business Ops Committee want to look at how much we charge for use of our facilities? And basically, they gave, was it Facilitron does a free analysis on what we charge, what our cost is to maintain, should we be passing along more of a cost to maintain, obviously as a percentage, not all cost, but the cleaning, the maintenance, the light usage. And most of the comments I heard in the meeting basically said, please don't raise fees, because if you raise the fees, that is passed along to our residents and community members, and then that fee will then be passed along to, the nonprofits will have a higher fee, and that'll be passed along to the residents. So it was a, hey, would you like to increase revenue for the district? And it was no, because that'll be passed along. I just wanted to share the sentiment. Sure. And then Jean Marie Wolf actually had a brilliant idea, because some of the comments came of damage to our facilities. The example was the PAC, and then that to fix the facilities comes out of the drama department or the band department's operating expenses. So the suggestion was, well, maybe we increase the deposit, and then within 24 hours do a review, and then we use the deposit to fix it. Anyway, so it was also brainstorming. Anyway, but so we left the meeting with, yes, please do the free analysis of what we could charge, and then we can decide if we want to increase or not. Anything to add?
No, I agree. It was, trying to maintain that balance, because we do want to be part of the community, and we don't want the community to look at us as you can't touch our facilities, but we also had to keep in mind, how we can maintain them. And there was some talk of some instances where things weren't well taken care of. So protecting ourselves, but still being accessible to the community. So just some good brainstorming, I think. You did a good job, Sean. You got it all.
Thank you. And then on October 2nd, we had our LCAP meeting, and Trustee Kerr and Trustee Moore were present. Anything you'd like to report?
Actually, before we move on to that, so you wanted some history on where
Oh, that's right.
the Budget Committee came up with that 33%. So I was not on the board, but I was on the parent group, and I was on the Budget Committee. And it wasn't probably, it could have been 15 years ago, but I remember the makeup of that committee, and I know Trustee Kerr will chime in, because you were probably on the board at the time. But the concern was because we did not have excess reserves. Our reserves was just the 3%, maybe a little bit more. So there was talk at that time with superintendent, CBO, executive leadership, if you will, of it's time to start considering, the board wanted higher reserves as well. And the 33% of excess property taxes is what it is, came from SF squared. That was the recommendation. In talks with the county, in talks with the district, except, that's where that number came from. It wasn't like just something that we pulled out of a hat, if you will. I mean, it was basically following the recommendations for community-funded districts. That's what was said at the time to help build our reserves. I think that was also it was probably going into after all the new CTE building construction was completing. Does that sound like that goes into the end of that? And that was, of course, different funding, but there was concern about increasing reserves because there were going to be other facility needs. We needed to know if could we take care of payroll for more than 2 weeks, kind of thing. So that was the mindset at that time and why it was established. And Jeannie, you can add to that as well.
So, nice memory, very good memory. I applaud you for that. Okay. But one of the things I do want to add is that Mr. Schultz was on the committees at that point as well.
Yeah.
And he representing NCOE as far as just concerned about reserve balances as well at that point.
That's very true. He came to every budget
Yes, he
committee
did.
meeting.
Yep.
with that in mind, I appreciate the clarification during the business operations meeting, Trustee Mora, to the conversation around why a need for such a robust reserve. And I appreciate the history as well. And I'm wondering, to fan misinformation, if we can communicate to our broader community about the reasoning behind our reserves, that it, like Trustee Pelosi said, it's not something that's just pulled out of thin air. There is a rhyme and reason to the 33% in our basic aid district. As a parent and now as a trustee, you know, the rumor is, oh, we have all the money in the world. And becoming a board member, I have quickly learned that that is certainly not the case. And I think education is the best tool to help our broader community understand the reason for our reserves, for our projects.
We can put something together for you to take a look at, and then maybe I've seen in some districts where they'll put it on the district website, even in, you know, facts and figures kind of a page where we give some educational materials.
I would greatly appreciate that. I don't, trustees, how you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a robust conversation. That's why I remember it so well, because there were so many meetings between 30% to 33%. And we had a lot of savvy community members on that committee at the time who lived and breathed in the financial industry, in budgets, CPA. And so it took a while to get to that 33, but that's where it vasculated between 30 and 33. So.
And at that time as well, just the urgency of it, just the thought of it was that group was meeting every month at that time too. Yes. So it was, and most of our subcommittees were meeting on a monthly basis. Kind of during 2010 to maybe 2014, 15. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, trustees we're prepared to always think about the worst possible situation. So I feel better that we can take care of our staff with 33% for 4 months instead of just 17% at 2 months, while still continue to plan for the future of all of our deferred maintenance projects. So, we'll just continue to have conversation about that. Thank you so much. Any other thing about the LCAP, the business operations? No. Okay. We're going to move quickly on to the LCAP meeting from October 2nd. Trustee Kerr and Trustee Mora, anything you'd like to share?
You know, I'll start. Or Trustee Mora, did you want to start LCAP? Would you want me to? Okay. So I was actually there as Trustee Wolf's companion because she was not available, and then Trustee Mora was there as well. And so this is a fast one. It was a data review. It was the similar data review that we had in our workshop, and it was similar in the sense that we had observations and reflections, and then analyze and discuss the actions aligned to Goal 1, and then reflect and summarize. So a lot of it was the hearing the information and then post-its, similar to the workshops.
Just to clarify, it's the data study session workshop.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
sorry about
weren't
that.
there. Yeah.
Thank you. So that was on October 2nd, and then the student experience. Mm-hmm. It was we regrouped in our 3 groups: the equity walks, empathy interviews, and the focus groups. And that was something that we started last year. Began it, and so we're just starting it again. And so the groups got together, and we all got a plan, and we'll be moving forward with our plan as far as different kind of focus groups and things.
Great, thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to 11E, St. Helena Teachers Association report to the board. I'd like to call on Mr. Lulsdorf, please. Good evening.
Good evening, trustees. So I can speak a little bit to the discussion about reserves. It was in 2010, so that should help. And there was a whole bunch of things going on at that time. The school had done a big, extensive IB program, probably a little too crazy in adopting programs that maybe one size fits all type of things, and that's a good lesson to keep in mind whenever we're adopting curriculum to really scrutinize whether it really fits. And there was a bunch of travel going on associated with that program. So the money was pretty loose at that time. Plus, I think it was also driven by some concerns, threats to basic aid at that time, and what to do if basic aid funding would disappear or how that funding formula would disappear. So that was also a driver, I believe, at the time. And so there was a whole bunch of things. We had a new superintendent came in, which was really financially minded. Bill McGuire was the superintendent at the time, who came in to kind of just clean up. And so I think that was the end product partly of that, if I understand it correctly. So, and there was a FICMAT report that was driving a lot of this. Yeah, so a whole bunch of things, but there was a lot of things. So, and I just wanted to say, I have been to also the LCAP and the business ops meeting, and I just want to say, on behalf of the staff, though, I think sometimes it gets lost that the diligence that the board members put in of going to these meetings, asking good questions, and it really is important to just, I don't think we get to do this enough, to acknowledge that, we're all trying to make the place the best for we can for students and staff. And it really stands out to me when we go to when I go to these meetings, the good questions that are being asked, and may not always agree on every little detail, but I think the end product is the same, and I think that's the good spirit to remember. So, and the last little part I would add to that is, I would really encourage board members to reach out to teachers just to see how things are going in the district, get the pulse of what's going on at the ground level. And I just would hope that we'd see a little bit more engagement with board members and staff, just overall asking how things are going and so forth. So just a little reminder on that front would be good. So, and would be appreciated by staff members. So, and that's all I have this evening. It's a short one. All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. 11F, California School Employees Association. And I would like to call, come on up. Okay. Hi, good evening.
Hello, Cindy Terrell. Nice to see you all. Good evening, St. Helena Unified School Board members, Dr. McClay, Mr. Heller, and Dr. Vang. On behalf of St. Helena Chapter 287, I thank you for allowing us the opportunity to bring this month's message to you. In the temporary absence of Mr. Dave, we love to call him just Mr. Dave, Dave Perry. We would first like to acknowledge that we will be saying goodbye to a good friend and longtime senior maintenance specialist, Daryl Swearingen, who is officially retiring at the end of this month. After many years of service, Daryl is hanging up his tools for a well-deserved break. While we are genuinely excited for him to start this new chapter, it's hard to imagine the maintenance department without his experience and leadership. He's been one of the bedrocks in the maintenance department, always focusing on ensuring a safe and effective workplace for everyone. His depth of knowledge and unwavering commitment will be his lasting legacy here. Please join the union in leadership in extending our sincerest thanks and best wishes to Daryl as he begins his retirement. We wish him a long and healthy new chapter. October greets us with cooler evenings and colors of the harvest and all the traditions that fall brings home, like homecoming and Halloween. Fall has also brought several issues facing our fellow classified members. Our members share deep commitments with our classified colleagues and with all district staff to provide the very best environment for our students. We've been battling several challenges causing confusion with our members, and we wish to have a shared mission to enhance our success, not only for the district, but for each and every employee. When roles are clearly defined, collaboration naturally flows, allowing everyone to work smarter and more efficiently. Though we are much closer to wrapping up our negotiations contract, we still have some work to do, not only with our new upcoming contract, but with each other. We must not allow division, but to come together as a united front. Quite honestly, our morale is at an all-time low, and fear has been building. Our voices should never be unheard. We're not overstaffed and we are not overpaid. If anything, there's a growing need for classified workers. Teaching today's kids has become more challenging than ever in these times of social media interactions versus face-to-face interactions and a rising mental health crisis. As well as by investing in our classified workers, emotional and behavioral needs are superseding academic needs, as well as nutritional needs. By investing in our classified workers, you're investing in your children and your grandchildren, our future leaders. We know these are challenging times for everyone, but we are confident that by taking collaborative steps, we can overcome and resolve these hurdles and dedicate even more of our energy to what matters, student success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And CSA members, thank you for being here this evening as well. Thank you. 11G through J are the principal reports to the board. As always, we thank the principals for spending the time creating these reports, and we always enjoy reading them about the students and their many successes. Thank you. We're going to move on to 12A, written report of the St. Helena Preschool for All program. And I would just like to remind the board that this is a written report. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this? No.
At this point.
Okay, as always, it's wonderful receiving the annual Preschool for All report.
I did want to shout out, though, I noticed in the report, like, there's obviously extra kudos to Principal Rocha and Gladys Hernandez
Absolutely.
for their time that's outside of the classroom in the school day, arranging and leading those parent engagement and support groups. So that's highly worth it because it seems to be making a difference. So I just wanted to give a public shout out for that.
Yeah. And I also want to give a shout out to the board of directors, which includes our trustee, Jeannie Kerr, and Dr. McClay, and teacher Gigi Ronayne. And if there's anyone else I am missing that is on the board of trustees, that is part of our staff. And Rebecca, yes, principal. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to 12B, adoption of resolution 25-11, Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd, 2025 through October 31st, 2025. And I would like to call on Dr. McClay.
I think we were going to ask our student
Yes,
representative.
which we are.
Andy,
sorry.
are you? Oh, no. That's okay.
Okay.
Andy, are you willing to read this one for us?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Thank you.
Recognize and support Red Ribbon Week from October 23rd to 31st, 2025, resolution number 25-11. Whereas the governing board of St. Helena Unified School District values the health and safety of all individuals, and whereas alcohol and drug abuse affect individuals, families, and communities across the nation, causing untold harm to the physical, emotional, and social well-being of all who are touched by this crisis. And whereas the destructive influence of drug abuse is not confined to the individuals who engage in it, but extends to their families, their communities, and social at large. And whereas visible, undefined efforts by community members must be launched to prevent drug abuse and its associated social ills. And whereas Red Ribbon Week, celebrated annually from October 23rd to 31st, offers citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, thereby promoting the well-being of our community and the nation. And whereas the theme for Red Ribbon Week in 2025 is Life is a Puzzle, Solve It Drug-Free, which emphasizes that every choice we make contributes to the overall picture of our lives, much like pieces of a puzzle coming together. It reminds us that living a drug-free lifestyle helps create a stronger and brighter future, one piece at a time. And whereas during Red Ribbon Week, businesses, government agencies, law enforcement departments, media outlets, healthcare providers, religious institutions, schools, and other community-based organizations will demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing red ribbons and participating in various drug prevention activities. And whereas the coordinated efforts serve not only as a symbol of personal commitment to a drug-free lifestyle, but also as a public pledge to contribute to drug prevention efforts throughout this year. Now, therefore, be resolved by the St. Helena Unified School District that we hereby proclaim our support for Red Ribbon Week from October 23rd to 31st, 2025, and encourage all members of our community to participate in drug prevention activities and to live a drug-free life in keeping with this year's theme, Life is a Puzzle, Solve It Drug-Free. Be it further resolved that this resolution be distributed widely to all schools, organizations, and other community partners in our district to promote participation in Red Ribbon Week.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Is anyone participating who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item? Is there a motion to approve adoption resolution 25-11 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Andy, would you like to cast a vote?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay. We're going to move on to 12C, information and approval of board policy updates. And I'd like to call on Dr. McClay.
Okay, as you can see in the checklist here, many of these, well, all of these policies, I should say, have been recommended by CSBA. They've gone through the board policy committee or subcommittee, and then many of them relate to the recent ruling of the federal case Tennessee versus Cordova. So if you have questions on specific policies, we're happy to answer them.
Okay, do we have anyone participating who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions?
No questions. I attended the meeting, so I think anecdotally, what I would like to share with my trustees is what our administration, principals, and executive leadership is discovering, and I'm sure Ms. Madrigal would also attest to this, is that their heads are swiveling right and left with with policy changes, and it's kind of sometimes challenging to keep up with. Things are coming down that come one month, and then the next month they could be different. They could come back into play. They could be drastically changed. So to me, that was very eye-opening at the board policy committee, is like what is coming out of the current administration is causing a lot of confusion, uncertainty, but most of what you see here today is kind of mandates, if you will. It's just things that have to be implemented or updated to current policies. Nothing other than this Tennessee one is the biggest crux, and I'm sure you've seen that in our CSBA newsletters and things like that. But I just wanted to give kudos to the staff who have to go through these and figure out what they mean for us and how when they bring them to us and the implications of that. So I just wanted to call that out. Mm-hmm.
I do have a clarification question. And I really thank you for being on the board policy committee meeting, because I have a hard time even reading some of the lovely things that you get to read of the whereas language and heretofore, and I'm like, I'm getting lost. So it just takes a lot back and forth. So the Tennessee versus Cardona, when I looked at the board policy 0410 markup, I just, maybe I was looking at the markup wrong, but I thought we were putting in words that it was asking us to take out, so I just was a little confused. And again, this is nothing to do with who believes what. I'm just trying to look at the wording. The Cardona, Tennessee Cardona, I thought it was saying that the old the Department of Education was trying to add gender identity and sexual orientation as a protected class. I'm using the wrong words. Sorry, we can't prevent, or it's sexual discrimination based on those two. The court said you can't use gender identity and sexual orientation as a definition. So, but when I looked at the markup on paragraph 3, I guess, those were in there. So I just wanted to make sure that we're doing it right. That's all. I don't know if I should point, but I think it was
It's BP, I think.
gender identity, gender expression. It looks like they're in, but I thought, and maybe this is again maybe I'm reading it wrong.
When Mr. Heller and I looked into it, and Mr. Heller, feel free to jump in, it was our understanding that this is an example of the CSBA recommendation that one policy is a little bit ahead of the other one. So I would anticipate that we are going to receive changes to many other of our board policies, including this one. I believe this one was approved and vetted by CSBA prior, if we look at the dates closely, to the Tennessee ruling coming in. So this one is going to be a little bit behind. Was that your understanding, Mr. Heller?
I believe so. And sometimes we will find that state policy may vary a little bit from federal policy during this time and transition. So I think it's best that we align with state recommendations at this time, given our.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you for clarifying
yeah.
that, because I was like, I feel like I'm reading this wrong. Okay.
Right. So this is vetted through our state of California, and
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That clarifies.
Great, thank you for that clarification. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we're going to move on to, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, that is right. Okay, is there a motion to approve the board policy revisions as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes.
Alrighty. Is there a second?
Yes, yeah, there is a second. I'll make that second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Oh,
opposed
boy.
say no. Motion carried. Let's move on to 12D, discussion of district of choice and interdistrict transfer agreement process. Dr. McClay.
Okay, we do not have a formal presentation tonight. As you will recall, at the last meeting in September, we spent quite a bit of time going through both of the models, district of choice, which we currently are, as well as interdistrict transfer agreement model. We talked a lot about the pros and cons. There's advantages and disadvantages, obviously, to both, but we need to make a decision because the state does require, if we are sticking with district of choice for 26-27, again, we're talking about the next school year, that our window to notify them, or our deadline, I should say, is coming upon us quickly. So we are asking the board to make a decision tonight. Keep in mind, whatever you decide, you can go back and forth every year if you wanted to. It's a little difficult for staff, but it's not a commitment that is longer than one school year.
Okay, is there any public comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead and start. Maybe comments, not so much questions, and looking at it. In comparing the two, a few of the things I do like about the IDA model is the fact that the admission is rolling. So you can keep adding throughout the year. And I know with DOC, there's a deadline, and if people change their mind in August and we have room for 5 more, we can't take them, or, whatever the numbers are. I kind of like that about it, because there are a lot of families that would jump at the chance if they got called the day before school started and said, hey, we've got an opening. I like that. I like the idea that it does give us a little more leverage. If there's a student that requires more than we really can do for them, we have the opportunity to say, we can't take you, or, we can. I personally would be in the mindset of I'd like to try that for a year. I realize we don't get the funding as much, even though it's not a huge amount for each student, but I like the idea of trying that for a year and seeing if that works better for all of us or not. That's my story.
Okay, any other preferences, comments about either model?
So you did say it, but we for sure have the option to go in and out of programs. The DOC, right? That's not going to be, okay. So I want to just make sure that that was a solidified answer. I think the loss, because we are very focused on finances, so we have the potential we would lose $160,000. How does that impact our budget, or more importantly, how does that impact our students? And I don't know if anybody's prepared to answer that tonight, but I would just like to know, with that loss, is it something that's going to be felt a little bit? Is it going to be felt a lot? Is it, everything adds up. So I'm curious about how that looks. I personally like that with both models, enrollment caps are still something that the board can be involved in, and we can ultimately set. So I think that's a positive. I do like a little bit more of the idea of some oversight of the potential people to be enrolled, and I like the rolling as well. I'm definitely a proponent that anybody who's in our district and on DOC should remain in our district. Should we switch models? I'm definitely a proponent of that. And I think, again, in the big picture of things, I know $160,000, but I do want to know how everybody feels about that loss of revenue with something like this. So I'll stop there. I may have more to add at that.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm going to ask them to piggyback on yours, but real quick before we go on. So we would keep all the students. We established that. So the students who currently are DOC, do they now become IDA? So
my understanding,
the money that we would have got if they were DOC, they're no longer considered DOC. They're now IDA. So okay. Just clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, that's where the funding goes away. Yeah.
Any other comments?
I agree with the rolling admission. I think that that's a benefit. I think it's a benefit that both districts are involved in the process. Enrollment caps, yes. Grandfather in our DOC, absolutely. But I am concerned about the money. That is my greatest concern. And it's predominantly because it's here right now where we have so much budget uncertainty, and we have no idea how are we going to cut the $160,000? Where is it going to come from? And it could be even more than $160,000, because I think this last year we had over $200,000 coming in. So it's quite a bit of cash that we're not going to be receiving.
Okay.
If we don't go with the DOC. So that's my concern, and I'll just stop right there.
The only thing I would add is that I was actually, obviously a loss in funding, but I was looking also at the flip side of not having unknown expenses that we don't plan for. And then also when we talk about, if there were a behavior problem or something where it's just causing disruption, or it's just not working, the drive, not the behavior, but if students can't attend, they can't get here in time, and then there's a learning loss. It's like this isn't working best for the student. I think that's also just a benefit. But I think the unplanned expenses is something that I can then feel confident in with giving up some revenue is also kind of a trade-off of the security of knowing what we're taking in.
Right. So. I thought about that as well. But at the same time, we still have the other 150, 175 students that are DOC right now, that we do have money coming in from, and so that's all going to go away. So we'll be really underfunded, because I mean, to your point though, if we're adding more district of choice students in, it's going to, I mean, students are certainly graduating out, but that money would take care of the students that we have as well as incoming students as well. So that's my point with that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I think to your point though, when the ultimate goal of a school district is to be able to serve all the students that come through their doors. And so if you are unprepared to be able to accommodate a student's needs, and then all of a sudden, because you didn't know that prior to, then you have a district, scrambling may be too dramatic of a word, but then they are trying to either have to hire extra people to take care of extra needs, special facility accommodations may have to be made. Those are all unforeseen circumstances, and I think that the district has found themselves in that position. And everybody's here because they want to take care of the people that walk through their door. But if you are all of a sudden not able to do that to the best of our ability for a variety of reasons, are you really serving that student?
Yeah.
Is what at the end of the day.
And Dr. McClay, and when I was having a conversation with you about this, you shared with us that the IDA is the more popular model than DOC. Can you give us a little understanding as to why that is, given the fact that DOC does provide some funding?
The superintendents that I've spoken to, which are quite a few, who have transitioned over the course of probably the last 7 to 8 years, very few left are doing DOC for the exact reasons that you've cited. The unknowns with students, wanting to be sure that we can meet every child's needs. While the small amount of money is nice, it oftentimes doesn't cover the unknown costs associated with the program. And so all of the ones that I have spoken to have transitioned to IDA for those reasons.
Okay.
The leverage, being able to work with a family if it's not working out, as Mrs. Mora pointed out, having more information on the student before the student comes, the rolling admissions. I mean, you've done a beautiful job of really identifying all of the pros with IDA. Now, obviously, it's a tough decision because there are some things regarding DOC, finances included, that are difficult, especially right now. So we've actually talked in cabinet. We're glad we're not casting a vote on this one because it's a tough decision.
Well, thanks for that.
Well, I do appreciate that there is flexibility about attempting one model, and if it's not working for our particular district, then going back to DOC.
I appreciate that as well, knowing that flexibility exists.
And that it's the same administrative load, we think, in terms of DOC paperwork and keeping track versus IDA. There might be different, but I think I remember
that's a
that
good
being
question.
commented we're not creating a huge, maybe year one overload of IDA paperwork versus DOC. I just wanted to make sure we're thinking about the logistics of it.
Yeah. What do we?
I'm pretty sure we
What do we have in
heard that
store
it's
with
very
that?
similar.
I think any change, obviously, first year, right, it's going to take some work. If we were to transition to IDA, those I've spoken to who have made this same transition, though, they have not gone back.
Okay. And I also think that ultimately it's still reliant on the caps that we set. So it's not like all of a sudden we're increasing them so greatly that the staff capacity is unable to kind of keep up with that. I mean, that's what I would imagine.
I do appreciate the rolling admissions.
Yeah,
So
I
when
do
we
as well.
have DOC and we still have room in the grade levels, and a child declines for whatever reason, it gives an opportunity for another student to be able, a month or however later. So I guess at this time, do we have a motion to approve either model?
Okay, I'll make a motion. I will make a motion to to, I guess, to select the IDA as the out-of-district attendance program.
Okay. Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote? Do you have any thoughts on this? Actually, I should ask you, do you have any thoughts on?
No, I do not.
Okay. I know, it's a long conversation, a lot of background we've had on it, so I don't expect you to have a crash course on IDA versus DOC. Would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no.
No.
Okay. Motion carried. All right, thank you for the healthy discussion.
And as I said, my concern is about is our budget.
Absolutely.
That's my concern. But I'm very, I think, as you know, with the no vote, I'm always very appreciative of everyone's thoughts, and I'm there with you for sure. Yeah.
I think it's just a delicate balancing act because we might lose the funding, but then a student could come in that has $100,000 worth of needs by staff and transportation. So I guess we'll just give it the year and see
try
what
it out.
happens.
Okay. We're going to move on to Student Learning and Achievement. 13A, presentation of St. Helena Unified School District Mathematics 3-year plan. Thank you for waiting. Would like to call on Mr. Heller.
Yes, Tom and Kathy are here, and our district math TOSAs. And as part of our continuing work with the LCAP and the board's interest in improving outcomes in mathematics, Tom and Kathy are going to highlight our work in staff development and unpacking the new California framework and also the process for adopting new curriculum. So I'll turn it over to them. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Heller. Good evening, members of the board and district leadership. We would like to report, since we've been here last year, our progress on our 3-year strategic plan with our goals outlined on the slide. We've been working on aligning the TK-12 priority standards in mathematics. We also have been working on the implementation of all components of the California State Framework, incorporating building thinking classrooms, and we are getting started on the work of adopting math curriculum TK-12 that is aligned to the Common Core State Standards and the new California State Framework.
And just starting off with just some celebrations and acknowledgement, both as a system and teachers and leadership. So this is again from what happened during the course of last year. So actually what's coming up on Monday, last year when we had our teacher work day, half the time was basically allocated or given to teachers to do some lesson planning and whatnot, but we provided an option for teachers to opt in and come and do a work time collectively, and we had 10 teachers show up to spend that time together. We had 3rd grade through 12th to work through so basically it's vertical alignment of content, which was a really powerful experience for all of us. In the course of last year with external PD, we've taken, I think we had a total of 12 teachers go outside, mostly to SCOE, where we have a connection and relationship around California Math Framework, as well as BTC. So we were providing ongoing opportunities to work in a larger environment with other professionals and not just, in smaller departments, so that we would go into a room with 60 other teachers or leaders that were implementing California Math Framework or BTC. That's the first slide on celebrations.
Another component of our support that we've offered throughout the last year is we had 10 teachers. We have a very dedicated group of mathematics teachers, and they spent some of their summer break going to the BTC conference. Of those 10 teachers, we had 3 of our team members present at the BTC conference, 5 different sessions. We were certainly the most well-represented school, individual school at the conference, and we are certainly making a name for ourselves. And we even had one of our teammates, Madison Butts, was invited to be part of the conference panel members for a Q&A, so that was a great honor as well.
On a somewhat larger scale, but bringing in neighbors through a partnership with NCOE. Josh was part of that. You can see a picture with Dr. McClay and Josh and Lucy Edwards, who I'm sure a lot of you know through LCAP work, and through Chris, Mr. Heller, through the partnership with NCOE and St. Helena Unified, and providing a 2-day experience. August 7th was actually held in this room, where we had 40 leaders from neighboring counties and districts to come get a 1-day intensive training on the California Math Framework to support leaders supporting teachers. And then on the next day, August 8th, we had 120 people come in on their own from surrounding districts, mostly teachers. There was a keynote speaker, Howie Hua, and if you're in the math world, he's super much like a rock star, so that was kind of exciting to have Howie here. And then we had a series of almost 15 breakout sessions. And then we had a showing of the movie, the documentary, Count It Out, which was pretty powerful. So it was a very powerful experience. There's there on the picture on the left, which was held in this room, we held a teacher-student panel around implementing the California framework through components of BTC. I don't know if you can tell in the picture, but we had Madison Butts, Cynthia White, Kathy, and then 2 students there. And this was people coming in on their lunch to hear testimony from people on our staff of what it's been like for us. And then one piece I would add to that goes beyond the scope of just those 2 days, but during the course of 2.5 years of us working and bringing in the California Math Framework, mostly through BTC, but it's been definitely California Math Framework forward, is that we've had 12, we looked it up, 12 organizations have come to visit our district, our schools, come into our classroom. Sometimes it's a small group of 6, but we've had upwards up to 20. And we're talking Solano, Sacramento, Sonoma County, as far as Healdsburg, Marin County, Contra County. So to Kathy's point, there is a lot of interest in what we're doing in St. Helena, and a lot of curiosity and interest in what we were learning in our journey. So.
We also had several of our own teachers present at this Math Summit, which was really great. We are a front runner in making the instructional shifts of the math framework, and many districts, as Tom said, are looking to us to learn what we're doing so far. Speaking of the California Math Framework, this is a heavy lift for our math teachers. It calls out several rather large instructional shifts. Here in the first 5 chapters, examples of those shifts would be going from teaching standards in isolation to teaching content connections with multiple standards in an open, rich task. Another shift would be in the area of number sense. Instead of the rote memorization, we're moving to efficiency, flexibility, and reasoning in math and understanding the relationships there. And also moving from lecturing or direct instruction, we're going through investigations and learning things through reasoning. So kind of flipping that script of the I do, we do, you do, completely backwards. So this is a heavy lift. The good news is that we have done a lot of this work, which is great. But this next one of moving from individual standards to multiple standards at the same time is going to be something that the teachers will need a lot of support with. This next slide shows that when all those shifts are made, California State Framework says that this is what high-quality math instruction looks like. It is a combination of the drivers of investigation, which is the why behind why we teach math and why students learn math, and the combination of the standards for mathematical practices, which is the how we learn, they describe we should learn math, and the what is the content connections of how students learn math. So we make all of those instructional shifts. This is the big picture of what that instruction should look like. As I keep saying, the good news is that we're ahead of the curve on this through the use of instructional shifts such as the BTC framework and number talks. We have done a lot. We have started making a lot of the shifts. So this is good news. As we continue to teach to learn more about that, the framework ourselves, we will start supporting teachers with trainings on the framework. And this is not only to learn about the instructional shifts, but it's also to get ready for our upcoming adoption. The K6 or the K5 teachers will be starting that adoption process in January, and then the middle school teachers will be starting later in the year. So we know it's really important, instead of bringing our own biases into this adoption process, that we need to look through the lens of the common lens of the Math State Framework and what it's calling out. And we will continue with all math teacher trainings, all other math teacher trainings that we have been doing through the Math Task Force and other opportunities, professional development opportunities. Oh, the VA days as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So data is a big part of our conversation. We know in previous presentations we've shared data. I'm going to share a little bit with you. I know probably all of you looked at the slide deck and seen it, kind of a preview. We know student performance is always at the top of what we're discussing. I mean, we're an educational institution. It's on us to ensure that as many of our students, if not all of them, are at grade level. That's our ultimate goal. We're in that pursuit of that. Summative data is that satellite data. If you remember, we talked about that satellite map street data, so we want to look at all types of data. Summative data is that indication of how we've done. In the interim, we need to use data to drive and make those decisions that we'll talk about within our PLC network and our systems. So a lot of what we were talking about in terms of empathy interviews and student interviews, collecting qualitative data where we can, as well as formative data along the way, and using that to make decisions, because that's the data that's going to drive the work and should be driving the work in a solid PLC model that we have. So here's some snapshots of some of the data. This was I'll have 2 slides from the high school and 2 from the middle school. The high school data came from an interest from the teachers teaching integrated 1, 2, and 3 to learn more about their students and where they were coming from in terms of how these practices were landing with them. So the prompt we gave the kids was 3 words to describe mathematics. And so this was the frequency of the words that came up from the high school kids that participated in the survey, right? And I'll be happy to come back and discuss these, but I'll move through these and just kind of give an overview of it. This is from the middle school. Similar question, what 3 words would you describe? I think it's important to call out, well, first of all, fun and hard and challenging for middle schoolers, that's a win. The word boring showed up. I know there was a lot of conversation last year around kids having the perception of not feeling challenged. And so just out of curiosity, I went and did a little bit deeper dive on the students that said that they used the word boring in their descriptors. And so again, they used 3 words to describe it. And I looked at what were the other words that they put in the cell with boring. And the top 5 that came out were hard, fun, challenging, and difficult, which was, and as a former recovering middle school teacher, that's not uncommon to hear diversity in responses, right? So they have a lot of feelings about it. But to be fair, when we talk about meeting the needs of all kids, we're talking about all the kids across the entire spectrum of learners that we have, right? From the kids that are below basic or far, not at grade level, to those kids who have met the standard, and we need to push them and challenge them. So I think it's important that we're recognizing that and acknowledging in the work that we're doing, and we do that. And we'll talk about that more in the PLC. So next round of data is from, again, the high school survey that we did and how kids feel working in random groups every day. And I think this is a pretty powerful statement with just how kids are feeling, basically positive about what we're doing in the classroom with that. This last slide, we didn't ask a similar question to the middle school because we've got 2 different groups of teachers, so they weren't, the intent was not to create the same survey across both school sites. This is specific to 6th grade, where the 6th grade teacher has been working. In fact, when Kathy talked about one of the presentations at the BTC conference, Margie did a presentation on her use of community circles to build this culture and normative practices within their classroom of it being a safe place for kids to come and not be afraid to take risks, right? So this is something that she specifically wanted to learn about her kids. That's the reason that there's a smaller sample size here, right? Because it's just specific to 6th grade. So we're familiar with the 4 questions. I think it's important that you hear from us that the performance data is at the head of the conversation that we have, if not on a weekly basis, or not on a daily basis, but weekly basis. And I would say two things that have emerged, because I work directly with the high school teachers and I work directly with the middle school teachers. And yesterday I was working with the high school teachers for them finishing up their learning ladders. And for those who are not familiar, it's like that prior knowledge from the lowest level of what kids need at entry all the way up to the highest level of the standard. So those are just about finished for the high school teachers, and I'm really excited for that, because then that leads us to the ability to bring in formative data and have those conversations, which we know have been happening at primary and elementary schools. And I think there's a real advantage that lives at the high school, because even though we've got, it's not exclusive where you have singleton teachers teaching integrated 1 and 2 and 3. You've got 2 teachers, for example, teaching integrated 1. So there's a smaller mini PLC, if you will, that they can communicate together. But it doesn't matter, because when the power and the strength of that department, that in their knowledge of mathematics, because any of them could teach any of the subjects. So one teacher brings in a set of formative assessment, they all can speak to it. They don't need to be a teacher of that subject to be part of that conversation. And so that's just around the corner for the work that we're doing in the high school. So I'm very excited for that. The middle school teacher, which has been crushing it for the last 2 years, I mean, I don't know if what they do and the level of data they collect and the conversations they have is inspiring. And so that is certainly happening as it always has. But something I think that they're realizing is the ability to collect quick, timely, formative or feedback or assess where their students are in an exit ticket and bring that exit ticket to their PLC later that day. And they pull it out, and we have a conversation, right? It's very powerful. They're adding layers on top of what they were already doing, and they're working really hard for that. And it is inspiring. So, oops.
So just to summarize our next steps, we'll be starting training with staff on the California Math Framework to get them ready to do the adoption process. I do want to just say that I do believe that once we adopt a new math curriculum, that's really, without a doubt, going to help us with these shifts. And I do believe that we will see opportunities to really push the needle on things with that adoption. So I'm very excited as a math coach for that to come. We are going to continue to have clear goals and outcomes within our PLCs, as Mr. Lewis mentioned. We are going to continue support with the Math Alignment Committee. We had a great first meeting just earlier this week, and we are now having teachers take the stage more than just us providing support. We want them to hear each other and how they're implementing strategies within their own classroom. So Madison and Margie were presented at their first meeting, and that was well received. So we'll continue to do that, and we will continue with the coaching cycles as well. Any questions or comments?
Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Okay, do the trustees have any questions?
I'm thinking Sean does.
All right.
I'm going to whittle myself back because I have too many sticky notes. But one question you did actually just ask is, I had a concern with training on a new framework and piloting new curriculum and rolling it all out at the same time and then starting next school year with it. You said that you think it'll actually be helpful and useful to do them together and quickly. So that answered a question. Well done.
If I can just elaborate on that, as Dr. Vang mentioned, our current curriculum is 10 years old, and it's not aligned with the new California State Framework. And so I do believe that while even 10 years is a very long time to have the same curriculum, that I think, again, just to having something updated, I often refer to, I feel like we're doing caveman math, and I don't think we can reasonably ask the teachers to make those shifts if they don't have a curriculum to support those shifts. So I really do believe that we'll see a lot of positive things come from the adoption, albeit a bit rushed, but we're anxious to get some new curriculum in our hands.
That was my concern, is are teachers going to feel rushed and it's yet another change and they've just had STAR and this, I just, as long as everyone's on board.
Araceli did do a survey to mitigate that concern, and despite the timeline that was outlined with very clearly, and they did realize it would be more rushed than ideal, they still wanted to move forward because they do absolutely believe that this is a crucial next move for us.
Thank you. I guess I'm hearing a lot of positive excitement. We're in year 2 of the 3-year plan, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Just wanted to make sure.
Maybe I should stop and think about that.
I know, it's,
Yes.
it's
As
hard.
as it said on the slide, I apologize for not calling this out, but we hope to meet all 3 of those goals by May 2027.
Yeah, I think that was on the.
Yeah.
So we're in our third or second year.
So I'm sorry to ask a difficult question, but this all sounds like we are, like, especially with BTC, we have everyone coming in, looking at us, and what do we do? Let's learn from you. But last year, our overall math percent went down 3. So I guess my challenge, or I'm sure you've answered this question when you had the summit, but is it like a tailing, like it's going to take a few years and these 3 bullets, or should we have a 3rd, 4th bullet? I'm just curious how you answer that question, because I'm sure it's been posed to you. Well, maybe not.
Fortunately, it has, and I think we're getting better at answering it. But first, and I'll just speak personally. I mean, and this is my own kids going through a system. My biggest disappointment is my own kids didn't get to experience an environment like this, because I had kids, my own personal kids, that struggled with math. And I think of, and I'm married to a counselor, so full disclosure, so I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And absolutely, I said it a second ago, and I'll stand by the support I'm providing secondary. I know it's true for Kathy. I know it's true for the leadership at the district and the site level, and the teachers for that matter too. That we are all striving for the same thing, that we want to close the gap. We want to bring all kids along, right? It's why we get up in the morning, right? So when we see that we're still not there with our performance data, it sucks. But we still believe in it because of, and the reason I'm bringing the Maslow hierarchy of needs is that we are under the belief that if kids are feeling more self-confident, if kids see themselves as mathematicians, right? And if they see themselves as having the ability to extend the empathy, which kids naturally have, and can tap into that, and extend their own learning while bringing others along. It's not on the kids to teach. I think there's some kids that see it as like, well, you're asking me to teach. And I know that it can feel that way, but that's not it. If anybody understands the nuances of teaching, and then you watch someone do BTC, it's harder. Like, a teacher is working harder to bring that class forward. And there's so many pieces that live in that framework, and we won't go into it tonight because it's super nerdy, but it's there. So we look at the qualitative data, because if the qualitative data wasn't there to support it, then I think we'd have a real problem. Like, if we were saying that kids didn't feel self-empowered, or kids didn't feel comfortable going to the boards random every day, or the words they were describing in math were not positive words, then I think we'd have a real issue on our hands, and I think we would really need to really stop and reflect and have a difficult conversation with ourselves. But we're not. We're seeing shifts in how kids feel about themselves. We're seeing shifts in how teachers feel about providing education to their kids. We're seeing shifts in teachers who have been doing this for 25 years who are feeling renewed for what they're doing. And it's not just about them, it's because teachers do it because they get inspired when they see they're making a difference. So those things are real, they're there. And yes, we're trying to undo a way of teaching that's been around for 170 years, right? And if that was working, we wouldn't be talking, like all districts, talking about the performance data, because it would be already working. And so it's not working for all kids, right? So we need to find something that's going to work for more kids. And I sure hope that this is it. I believe it is. We are not there yet. And we are very aware of that. And I know we appreciate the questions, because those questions need to be there, because that accountability needs to be there, because we are an educational institution that's been charged with teaching kids. So I hope that's a good enough answer for tonight, and please keep asking that question.
I have a question to piggyback on that question. And so, Tom and Kathy, thank you so much for this presentation, and also collecting data on how the students are feeling about it. That's just really, more than just student achievement, but to see how they're feeling about the program. So I appreciate you collecting that data. So if the CASP scores aren't representative of the successes that you've shared this evening, what assessment tools, formal, informal, looking at MAPS, now STAR, what's proving that there are increases in student achievement? Because at the board, I mean, we want to see the adjectives to describe how kids are feeling about math and becoming more confident, but it's our responsibility to also see the student achievement going up, to the actual increases in the concepts that they're learning. So then when they get on to junior college and college, that all of that training that we've done in making them feel secure about math doesn't go downhill because they can't do it, because they haven't mastered those concepts. So again, what for other formal or informal assessment tools are you using to monitor student achievement? And if that's increasing, if the CAP scores are not reflective of that. Great.
I know one concern that we have at the elementary school is first of all, everyone's working so hard. They are so dedicated to.
And I have no doubt.
No, and I know
that
you're
they
not
are.
putting that
Yeah.
in question. But what comes to question is like, we are working so hard and we're not getting the results that we are hoping for. And so questions start coming up. Well, how well aligned are we with the state test? And that's a difficult question to wrangle with, because people don't want to teach to the test. They want to teach for a successful future for the student. But we recognize that we have to do that. And so, we have vertically aligned our priority standards with information from about which ones are priorities from the creators of the framework. However, we still have questions. Sean, you started seeing that as far as, how they were asking the questions on that assessment. And something simple as if you have an addition or a subtraction 3-digit problem, if you write it vertically, the nuance is you are asking that child to use one strategy to solve that problem. And what I was trying to get the teachers to realize is that if you just turn that horizontally, you open a whole other world of possibilities. And so it's really about, teacher training and realizing that small shift can allow students to use different strategies other than the standard algorithm that they might feel more comfortable or might make more sense to them. And so it's that if we are vertically aligning those and the state test is putting them horizontally, that small shift can really throw the students off. And that also, it just pigeonholes them when it's on our common formative assessments in one way. Because we teach them different ways and we're expecting them to know different ways, but if we aren't setting them up to use those possibilities. So it's not just about BTC, it's about just small shifts like that may align better to the state test. But teachers are working hard, they're open-minded, and we just have to discover these through those great, rich conversations that you have seen when you've visited our school. So,
are we seeing an increase in unit assessments? Are we seeing an increase in grades? Where is that?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that's another way that we're tracking it.
Yeah. If
so
we're not
with
relying on
common
the CAS,
formative assessments,
where are we seeing the increases?
Yeah. So with the common so that's what I meant to say. We're showing that the students are reaching mastery on those common formative assessments. So we wonder then why is that not translating to the state assessment? So we have to really start picking that apart and saying, how can, are we sure that we're aligning this and asking these questions in the way that they're going to be presented on the test?
Okay, thank you.
Because they're showing
that
we're making progress, yes, on those common formative assessments.
Thank you.
I would just add two pieces, and the good news is that Kathy and I had the same answer the first time without talking about it, which is just testimony how well we work together. But I'll go to the first one on grade data. And we know the problematic nature of high school assessment because we only assess 11th graders, right? Which is a problem. But we're not going to fix that, at least in my lifetime. I was curious to know what was happening with our integrated 1 semester grade data, because we know that integrated 1 is a linchpin to graduating, so that's a biggie. And we saw just even in the first year of BTC, and we say BTC, but to be fair, it's implementing so many of the components of the California Math Framework. We've been 2 years ahead of the curve on that. And we saw a huge uptick. I don't know if you remember, but it was 3 years ago that we had like a pre-integrated 1 class, and we got rid of that. So all kids went into integrated 1, and yet we had, I think it was, and I'll go back and check it, I don't want to misquote data, but it was 20 to 25% increase of kids getting higher than a C the year that we went all kids in integrated 1. So if you think about that, we had kids that they were in pre-integrated 1, we moved everybody integrated 1, and yet we still had a huge increase in kids, with their grades, right? So that's the first thing. So there is some grade data out there to speak to your question, because it's a good question. The second one is, and this is something I've been aware of it. I've seen it more clearly now that teachers have kind of cleared the clutter of changing their teaching practice and being able to focus on the bigger components of the framework, and that's where the good stuff lives in terms of kids consolidating their learning and then demonstrating their individual knowing and understanding. Is the nature of the questions that we're giving kids, right? So I brought this chart back up because for anybody who really understands math education, if you look at the nature of the questions that live on the CASP test or the SBAC, they're rich questions. They're not just, can you, add 4-digit numbers like I would have seen on a summative assessment when I was in grade school. They're questions that are related to big ideas and fold in more than just one type of mathematics within the problem, right? So I'm really excited about what we're doing with the California Math Framework this year, both with the piloting group and what we're going to do through the VA days, because we're going to be pushing teachers more into this realm of the type of tasks that we need to be giving kids, right? So there's a time and a place for giving kids what we call thin slice tasks of really focusing on specific math skills, which kids do need, and we also need to be giving them opportunities to apply those math skills to unique situations into those things called big ideas to the California Math Framework. So that's something it's going to be more forward in the work that we're doing with teachers this year, and I hope that shows in the types of questions that kids are being asked to do on the SBAC. Okay. So there's some hope in there, to be fair. We feel good about it, right? Yeah.
And then can I just get a quick understanding of the teachers that are using BTC? We've got the RLS is using BTC, the high school is using BTC. Where are we with K-5?
I would say all teachers are using BTC. They are just at different levels and different frequencies. We've got teachers doing it 5 days a week, minus maybe an assessment day. We've got people still, trying to implement it 1 or 2 days a week. It's a very difficult shift to make, and it's also giving up that control for the teacher is a very difficult step for them to make. And so I really have tried to shift my focus and say, look, you don't have to give up all the great things that you were doing before. Let's just find a way to incorporate those, and then they will slowly make the shift. And I appreciate one of the teachers at the elementary school who had a very difficult time taking that leap. And once they did, every day that they see me, they thank me for encouraging them to take that leap, because they say they'll never go back. And so I just think it's a gradual shift. It's showing them how they can still incorporate all the great things that they've done before, but also embrace a new way of challenging our students.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, are we sure?
Past my limit. Actually, I'm curious of Andy.
I would actually. Let's put Andy on the spot.
Andy,
your turn.
What does Andy think about math?
Well, I heard you guys talking
Be
about
honest.
the CASP test and
And BTC.
yeah.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I know, I mean, I'm kind of guilty of this, but the CASP test, we know is not like a part of our grade. So we'll kind of be like, oh, it's not a part of my grade, so I'm just not going to like really try on this, I guess. And that really, I guess that affects the scores as well. So yeah, that's just my point of view. Mm.
Okay. Any other questions?
There's not, but I just want to say thank you very much, and I've really just enjoyed this entire conversation this evening. So thank you for your time and your presentation as well, and thank you for staying so late on a work night. Thank you.
I mean,
thank you.
In case you don't know, the two of you have a very stellar, solid reputation for what you do in this district.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's important to, I mean, I hope that you hear it, but I know that I hear it, so I just wanted to share that. Keep up the great work, I guess.
We appreciate that, and we do feel it. We feel the love in St. Helena all the time.
Okay.
We really look forward to coming back next year, and we hope that we've got some great stuff to share. And we do, and I meant what I said. I think we all believe it. That just the questions they need to be here. We need to be. We're all working together for the same outcome.
Sure.
And that's a good thing. So thanks.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Okay. 13B, presentation of the California Healthy Kids Survey. And I would like to call on Mrs. Romo Flores.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. McClay. I'm going to be presenting the California Healthy Kids Spring 2025 results. And as you know, each year we're required to administer a climate survey, which is priority 6 for the local control funding formula. So there are some survey requirements. It must capture students' perceptions of school safety and connectedness, and it must be given at least one grade level within each grade span served by the district, and the results must be able to be disaggregated by student group. So we continue to use the California Healthy Kids Survey. This is actually, we were thinking about another survey, but this is per the Napa County Office of Education request that we continue with the California Healthy Kids Survey because they are dependent on our data for some of the grants that they apply for on our behalf. And so we continue to use the California Healthy Kids Survey. And it also is written into our LCAP Goal 2. And so this is a metric, and so that's the other rationale for continuing to use it. So who participates? We administered it in grades 5, 7, 9, and 11. And I just want to remind everyone that the 5th graders must have a signed permission slip to participate. And grades 7, 9, and 11 can opt out, but they must be signed in. You must have a signed permission slip for our 5th graders to participate. So I just wanted to call that out. But I was pleased with the participation rate, the response rate. And I'm going to go into our results. Oops. Wrong button. So just as a reminder, in our LCAP, Goal 2, maintain a welcoming and nurturing district environment, we have our goal, our target as 90% for all of these areas. So school connectedness, there are some areas, I'm not going to read these to you, but I do want to call out that you are looking at annual shifts. So the percentages in the parentheses are the annual shifts that you'll see. And I did include, because I know last time that I presented this information, you were asking about questions. And so I wanted to put in the sample questions for you. The language does change a little bit depending on the age group, but this is the gist of the questions that are asked for each of these areas. And I am going to call out that Dr. McClay, Mr. Cinto, Mr. Andrews, and I attended a California Healthy Kids Survey training that WestEd put on at the Napa County Office of Education in September. And they did present some data, and I was fiercely taking notes because we didn't get the PowerPoint, but I was fiercely taking notes. And so there were some three areas that we have data for the Napa County schools. So our schools' data is included in that, but I'll share those percentages for some of the areas that I have that information for, okay? I didn't put it in this entire presentation because we don't have it for all areas. So for school connectedness, Napa County school fifth graders were at 73% for school connectedness. So we're pretty aligned there. For our middle school students, Napa County middle school students were at 60%. So we're above that. And for high school, Napa County high school students were at 60%. So again, a little above that. So I just thought that was interesting. Of course, we didn't get our 90%. We're not there yet, so we have some work to do still. I'm going to keep going in this upward momentum. And for academic motivation, we do not have Napa County data, but I do want to just point out that this is an area that we want to keep working on. I want to make sure the students are persevering. For caring adult relationships, this one we do have some Napa County comparisons. And so for Napa County students, elementary was at 71%, and middle school was at 63%. And the high school was at 60% for Napa County students. So again, higher than Napa County average. And happy to see that more students are experiencing the feeling of having caring adults in their school experience. And for high expectations, this is also one that we need to keep working towards, even though it's, we're doing pretty well there. So I was really pleased with this one. Just going to keep going with that high expectations, of course. And then meaningful participation. This one we have some work to do. It was very clear by the responses that students want to have more agency. They want to be able to have more of a voice in what they're learning, what they're doing. They want to be active participants, so that's good feedback for us. Perceived school safety, we do have some comparisons for Napa County schools. For elementary, Napa County is at 79, so just as we are. Middle school, 62%, so we're higher than the average for Napa County schools. And for the high school, Napa County average was 70%. Low violence and victimization. Of course, we want to see higher scores there because we don't want students to feel that they're being victimized. So we do have some work to do there. No comparison data for Napa County, however. And same with the anti-bullying climate, no harassment. We want that percentage to be higher. We don't want any of our students to experience any bullying, of course, or harassment. So we have some work to do there. And this one, we did meet the target, our 90% target. So this is no substance use at school. So we're 100% of our students at R.L. Stevens say that they have not engaged in any of that. And we're at 93% at the high school. So that's exciting and celebration for sure. And then the board asked, what's contributing? What are the actions that are contributing to our success? And so each of our site administrators created the next 3 slides for you, and I did print them out for you so you could see them because I know you haven't had a chance to look at these. But I'm not going to read these to you, but I do want you to have those, and you can reach out to us if you have any additional questions for each of the principals. But I did want to provide those to you. And there's, as you can see, there's a lot that's happening at all of the school sites. So I didn't want to read that to you. But I think it's important to acknowledge all of the work that's going into making sure that our students are feeling safe and connected, and that we're making some strides to reach our LCAP goal 2. At the district level, these are some actions that we're taking, as you've heard before, and some of you are on the Student Experience Committee. We are participating in empathy interviews. In fact, I have those scheduled. I'm going to be doing some of those empathy interviews at the high school with some colleagues, and we have those scheduled, so it'll be interesting to find out how our students are feeling. Equity walks, we're doing those. Focus groups. We're also going to be using the Kelvin this year, because the California Healthy Kids Survey is a survey that's only given once a year. But the Kelvin gives us an opportunity to do some real-time checks throughout the school year. So we're excited about starting to use the Kelvin for some progress monitoring in this area. We have a district multi-tiered system of support task force. So we are trying to be aligned district-wide to ensure that we are creating systems that all of us can be using consistently to make sure that we are meeting students' social emotional needs, behavioral needs, and of course academic needs. And we also are providing professional development. As you know, on Monday we're going to be doing some safety training. So there's that, and there's also other things that are happening at the school sites specific to Goal 2. Any questions?
Okay. Is there anyone present who'd like to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions?
I had one question about, like, the one about school safety. And when you put the question in the box that just said, do you feel safe at school? Is that truly how the question is asked? Because then the next couple of slides, like, obviously it breaks it out a little bit differently. Do you feel like you're a victim of bullying and whatnot? Because, I think sometimes that's a hard question to answer, however old you might be, given the climate of schools today. And, safe can mean a variety of different things. So I was just curious.
That's the only question.
Okay, that's the only question. Okay.
For that one. Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much for your presentation and all this information. And then also thank you for this addendum to this too. This is great. This is very interesting.
Thank you to our principal.
Thank you.
I reserve the right for future questions once I read this. Thank you.
For sure.
Oh, thank you.
I have one.
Yeah,
Can I?
go for it.
On the other attachment that we were given that has like the school climate report card, and kind of looking at that, I was kind of surprised about the amount of absences. Like those are pretty significant. It was the second, like if you go through those, I was just kind of looking at that, and that also seems like something that the schools must be combating as well, because when you look at like 3 or more absences per month, that's there's been a significant change in that, especially over the course of 4 years or whatnot. I don't really know where I was going with that comment, other than to just kind of highlight it that it was a noticeable trend in the upward direction. So
Across all 3, or?
Middle school, yeah. I mean,
Elementary, up 23%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absent 2 or more days in the past 30 days.
See, it goes from 10 to
Mr.
33.
Cinto's just saying this is a COVID byproduct.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I figured. But
Still?
it's noticeable.
Well, can you explain why a COVID byproduct? Because people are actually staying home when they're sick? Okay. Did you hear that?
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry, so a COVID byproduct is that people actually stay home when they're sick, and they didn't used to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So does is is this an example, 2 or more days in the past 30 days of chronic absences,
To be identified as chronic absent, they have to have missed 10% of the days.
Oh, 10% of the day, about the entire school year.
Well, 10% of, if you've only had, 100 days and you're out 10, you're already chronically
Got it.
absent.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I had a question. I was looking at each category, and it's pretty balanced between the schools. But looking at academic motivation on slide 9, there's, can I say, significant drop once we leave elementary school and get to middle school and high school in academic motivation. I'm looking at that across the last 3 years. What are your thoughts about that? Why is there a decrease?
Well, I think
what
that
can you
first of all,
assume?
the demand's higher, right? When you get to middle school and high school, there's a lot more homework than there is in elementary. That's a significant change. But yeah, I'm not really sure, and that's one of the reasons why I love equity interviews, because you kind of ask those questions and try to find out, like, what is the rationale, or why is it that you're not completing the assignments and not feeling.
So more about the exit interviews. Can you just, when are those? When do
Empathy?
The empathy interviews?
Empathy, okay.
Yes, I have them on my calendar. I believe we start next week.
Okay, and you have, I'm curious if you could, ask some questions in this category specifically, since we see that significant decline in academic motivation, and why, and how we can make kids, feel better, be more motivated in those. That was the one that caught my eye, because of, there's just an imbalance between different age levels.
Are the interviews happening at RLS? Because this would be sixth graders.
No, we're starting actually at the high school.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
But we'd love to do
Yeah,
with the
just
other
what we
schools
can
as
do
well.
to support motivation. What are we missing?
Yeah.
'Cause I know everyone's working really hard to support our kids. Okay, thank you.
I guess to clarify, you believe the assignment of homework at middle school would drop someone's academic motivation?
It's a lot. So the questions are not so much
right.
about, it's more about perseverance, right?
Right.
Like, do you finish all your school assignments? When you get a bad grade, do you try even harder than the next time and the next time? Do you keep working on your schoolwork until you get it right? Really those questions are about perseverance. And I think that sometimes in middle school, you get assignments from every single teacher versus your elementary teacher is more aware of what they're assigning, because it's the one teacher assigning the homework. And oftentimes in middle school and high school, they need to get to their content and their content alone. And so there's more homework and more assignments at the middle school and high school. And so sometimes students think it's hard and to keep up with all of it and don't stick with it. So we need to focus on helping them to persevere and to stick with those assignments and the demands.
It's interesting, when I was looking at that slide, the way I was looking at it to read was a lot of this, the way I read it, was outside of the school day. Like, it's when kids, first of all, they're adolescents. We know what comes with that territory. And then I was thinking, then they could be in sports, they can be in after-school activities. They're tired, they go home, they're distracted by devices. And so when I looked at this, my immediate thought was, I wonder if this is really this way because it's not even pertaining to the school day. Yeah. And not to say that it is, but that's just kind of what popped into my head. But to your point, it's like, what is there, what can be done to increase that feeling of being motivated to finish and whatnot. It's just kind of interesting, right? When you ever
Andy, thoughts on academic motivation?
I feel like it could do a lot with, like, as you're older, like, your parents kind of like let you go out more And then like in middle school and high school, you're kind of like, oh, my friends are going out, so I want to go out as well. And then that kind of brings more towards like, when you're going out, you come back home and then you're like, homework.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I mean, be that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that at home right now. My 2 teenagers.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very much a
valid.
reality.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So glad Andy is here.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great report. Okay, 14A, good night, Mr. Cinto. Thank you for staying. Have a wonderful Friday. 14A, consideration of approval for the 2025-26 certificated seniority list. Mr. Heller.
All right, thank you. Mark stayed because he wanted to see this through, so thanks, Mark. This action item establishes an annual ranking order for certificated employees based on seniority in the district determined by their date of hire. In the event we were presented with the task of layoffs, this list determines which employees of the least seniority would be considered first in this process. And in future months, coming up the next 2 months, you will also receive skipping and bumping criteria and as well as tie-breaking criteria for approval to determine the final order in which layoffs would be considered by the board should we reach that point. This list has been reviewed by SHTA membership and the leadership and is presented as a final document, so I ask for your approval.
I'm hoping you could do the type just a little bit smaller next time.
We can.
Okay,
There's a
great.
-2 font that we can.
Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the 2025-26 certificated seniority list as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. 15A, future agenda items. All right, we've got Trustee Kerr with the RLS Adopt a School presentation. We have our superintendent evaluation. Some other things on here that to look forward to. Any future agenda item requests?
No request for a future agenda item, but I'm wondering, because you made some great suggestions and changes to the agenda, I'm wondering, can we move student learning and achievement up a little higher? Because that's the crux of what the board should be focused on as well. And it would be nice if it could, I don't know, if you can talk about it with Dr. McClay and Ms. Madrigal in agenda prep, but, you know, maybe can it go after business operations? But I mean, you know, I don't really know the exact location, but it'd be nice if it was a little bit sooner in the evening.
And maybe do communications and.
I mean, I
consent
think
later?
communications and consent agenda
Yeah.
are more perfunctory responsibilities of the board, you know, equally important, but require, maybe there's less public input or in those. So that would just be something I've been thinking about.
I would
After
agree, too.
facilities
I would
makes
agree.
sense.
Yeah.
Before business ops.
Okay.
So, yeah, somewhere. I'll let you guys, you know, I mean, if
No, I
the
like
board's
that.
in agreement.
I like it.
Yeah, and also just for the, so our staff is not here as long as
Yeah.
well too, no.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm looking at one that. Any other thing?
Nothing nothing else for me.
How often do we get a math update like we got today? And the reason I'm wondering is that, you know, I asked the question of, well, this is the results from last year's state test, but should we be looking at all the other things that they're doing on a more frequent basis so that it's not just this one test? Like, it just doesn't feel right that that's what we have to look at to judge progress on this big focus area for us, because I still remember Lisa saying at one of the board meetings, like, I'm so sick and tired of talking about how we're going to achieve math, like, but we need to keep talking about it more. I don't know what the content would be, but I don't know that once a year is enough. I don't know, especially with this California math framework piloting a new software, implementing it, it's just a lot. And STAR, I mean, there's so many things you could talk about in it, but.
Would it make sense, do
I don't
you
know, I
think,
just-
for updates on a Friday update more, to have a math section? Or to actually bring it to a board meeting to have a fall and then
I
spring
guess
semester
maybe I could throw it
discussion?
back to the math alignment committee. Like, is there more
Yeah.
they'd like to bring us? And
Yeah.
kind of going back to, or it could be different teachers, like, going back to Mr. L's comment, like, hey, if you see a teacher, like, reach out and ask them how they're doing. I feel like we're losing some of the contact with teachers also. Also, and like, let's hear it from them. Offer it up. I mean, it's not a requirement, but I just feel like we're losing, we spend a lot of time on facilities and contracts, and I don't know that I feel like we're getting as much in the student achievement area recently.
Do you have thoughts on how?
So keep in mind, we're currently working on putting on your governance calendar. Remember, we talked about at the student achievement workshop, delineating everything that we're going to present annually, so almost month by month in that category specifically, so we call it out by name. What if we met with Tom and Kathy and perhaps the Math Alignment Committee, but I think that Tom and Kathy would be a great first start to map out what else could we present to you, and maybe we do it quarterly in smaller chunks. With everything going on in math, it makes sense to not wait another year before we bring them forward.
Yeah,
So-
it just feels like too long.
Okay, why don't we'll meet with them and put something together, and then I can float it by you, see if we're good? Okay.
Yeah, does that sound good?
Yes, I mean, because it's like after their presentation, I got really excited about it and, you know, what was going on, and there's a lot going on, so I'd like to kind of keep in touch with all of that. Sure, so good point.
And I think if it's more often, it won't have to be, like, that was a very in-depth report, and I'm sure that was very time-consuming, so I respect their time in trying to do everything they're doing and put that report together. So I think a frequency, it could break down and maybe not be as a workload of a report to do for us.
Yeah. We can do that. Okay, great. Okay, anything else? Okay, it's that time of the night. We are going to get to 16A, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Andy, would you like to cast a preferential vote?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carried. Meeting ended at, ooh, it's a later one, 9:39 p.m. I can't see it.
9:36.
Is that right?
9:36.
9:30.